Oh my god, he's going to go around the inside. He's going to send it. He's taking the lead of the Canadian Grand Prix on the last lap. Matt Turner takes the win in a remarkable race. We have teammates coming together. How devastating! Good afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to the iFormula League season number 3 here for the F2, round number 8, and we are at Spa for the 8th round, and I am joined here by a new face to, well, I should say voice even to some of us here, and this will be Biggles. If you want to introduce yourself, mate, tell people a little bit about yourself, what you do.
Hello, this has been my first hour since I've casted a race before. I'm a friendly face, hopefully. I wear the top hat. I'm bringing the top hat back, of course. Some of you guys out there may very much know, guys and girls, of course, might know me from casting all over the different places, of course, from Formula 1 casting generally. But I'm getting into the F2, getting into iRacing, absolutely love it. And yes, thank you very much for the intro. So anything you want to know? I don't bite much.
Well, I mean, mainly, you know, how long have you been doing this for? Sort of like, what's your background? You know, you said you did a lot of F1 stuff before. Has that been like a relatively recent thing, or has this sort of been something that's been going for a while for you?
Well, I basically did start from the F1. I was playing the F1 game actually during the quarantine lockdown, and nowhere to go. I used to do community theater and a few things like that. Actually, go out and socialize back in the day. And also, being locked down, I was playing the F1 game. I've been playing the F1 games for years on a keyboard too, mind you, just for fun. And then, you know, a couple of blokes, I was in there and the voice chat, and they were like, oh, hey, Biggles, coming to the Discord. And I was like, what's Discord? So I joined the Discord, and ever since then, I've met so many great people. They're like, hey, Biggles, you sound like you could be a good caster. And I was like, what? And so I got introduced to other leagues and started casting from there. So a big shout out, I would say, to people that reach out, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Not expecting anything to happen, just hanging out, having fun, playing games. And that's what it was all about. So yeah, much appreciated. And ever since then, I've just, I can't drive, save myself too much. In real life, yes, but in the virtual world, no. And so I just have fun. And, you know, I've met so many people through Discord, all the different leagues, loving the casting now and getting into different games. In Rocket League casting I was doing earlier as well. That's a lot of fun. Yeah.
As I say,
iRacing now is just so powerful and so realistic and great. You know, I mean, because the F1 game is awesome. Yeah, but F1, but it's not. It's an arcade game. It's not really that much of a sim,
exactly.
You know? I mean, it still takes a lot of skill. I've casted esports drivers a lot with it, but this is real sim racing, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, this is where we normally get the, you know, the big boys and all the people who, you know, maybe potentially want to push this into the real world, you know, and maybe even make it a career in the future. And we've seen, obviously, a few people have actually gone through and done that. They've gone from sim to the real world.
Yeah, you're right. You took the words out of my mouth, Alisa. If I'm pronouncing your name correctly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or Ali, I'll call you Ali. I like to shorten it up. Yeah, they have, and that's the beauty of it, because sim racing is damn real. Yeah. It's like the simulation rigs that drivers use. So when they, you know, put a lot of effort into this and you jump into a real car, you're like, well, apart from the G-forces, it ain't that much different.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, we absolutely love a bit of a natter. You know, we love talking. That's why we do commentary mainly. It's so that we can hear our wonderful voices back to you guys, and you know, we just really enjoy talking a lot. You'll find some of the best commentators in the world could just talk all day about absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it's improv.
Yeah, exactly.
You should actually do an improv course as well too, mate, because that's what it's all about, coming up with stuff on the fly. But we're here in Spa.
Yeah,
this is a driver's favorite track, of course. It's the longest on a Formula 1 calendar, probably the longest on a Formula 2 calendar as well. 7 kilometers. Yep. And for you guys in the old the old system, 4.3 miles. Or if you want to, it's about 178 chains. If you want to go even older than that.
Not sure anyone still uses that anymore, right?
No, when I brought my property, it was, believe it or not,
really?
my house and land. It was like they had chains as the document. I'm like, what is that? I had to ask my parents what the hell a chain is. It's like insane. But yeah, we're babbling. But we're in a practice session, so we're actually in qualifying. My bad.
Yeah. So, at the moment, we're in qualifying. Obviously, a couple of people setting a few representative lap times. We look at, obviously, the likes of Carlos Catal. Lewis Archer is trying to set a representative lap time. I believe he's just finished a couple of... I believe he actually did a couple of warm-up laps, more than one, which is unusual. Normally, the drivers seem to just go out the pit lane, warm up their tires, and just gun it on the first lap. But Lewis taken maybe a couple more than usual. I'd imagine maybe picked up an off-track somewhere, quite easy to do around Spa, especially in iRacing. They've updated the track limits a little. That was an update they brought out a few months ago now, I believe. So anytime you go over the white line with all 4 tyres, gotta be very careful that you come back on track before the curbing ends, otherwise you risk getting an off-track in almost every corner now, I believe. So it's a nice update that they made.
Yeah. Go ahead, sorry.
So it was a nice update that they made and made sure that, the off-tracks were a bit more fair, because Spa always used to be pretty ruthless with it.
More realistic to the real F1.
Yeah.
The F1 game, of course, if you get 2 of those tyres off the white line, you're 3-second penalty. Warning, at least. You get 1 warning, 2 warnings, 3rd one. But that's good. I mean, once again, this is a real sim. It ain't an arcade game. So Carlos, smooth operator...
Indeed.
is currently on 2 minutes and change, so anybody can break the 1 minute barrier this evening would be quite impressive around Spa in an F2 car.
Yeah, exactly. We see it a lot in F1 in real life. We look at that 1 minute 40 barrier, potentially even faster. Those cars are just absolutely insane with those powertrains, but in the F2, we use the Formula Renault 3.5 here in this league, so cars are a little bit less powerful, a little bit less aero as well to help keep the car on track, so the racing tends to be a little bit closer as well, which is something we always love to see. But Frederick Larson did actually manage to go faster than Carlos Catal with a 2 minutes 0.55, which hopefully should see him up near the top. He is a stand-in currently for one of the teams. Has done this a few times now where he's sort of stood in from... He races in F3 normally, so he comes in as a stand-in as Lewis Archer goes across the line, does a 2:01.31. In practice, I saw Lewis Archer actually doing a couple of faster lap times than that, so I'm sure he still has a bit more left in the tank. But going back to Frederick Larson, he comes in as a stand-in, and every single time he's done so, he's finished within the top 5 every time in the F2, without fail.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
For a Dane. For a Dane, I was going to say he's Danish. He's not Finnish, but he's finishing quite well. There you go. Yeah, he's currently at the moment too 7th in the championship, 31 points there for a stand-in. That's not bad, and certainly he's clocked up the best time with a 2 minute 55 on there, just taking Carlos out. Now Carlos at the moment is 4th in the championship. Now Caesar, the Brazilian driver, currently at the moment not have the best lap time around here. And Lewis Archer, I think, you're the man on a mission, isn't it? The Brit currently at the moment in P3 for the provisional qualifying.
Yeah, we are on board with Lewis Archer, actually, as he is just going now down into that double left-hander of Puon. An amazing corner, and one that I'm hoping we will see taken flat out in the F1 later on tomorrow. But in these cars, not so much. Don't quite have the same level of downforce, but he is definitely trying to make something of it. Currently up in the first sector slightly. Maybe not enough to push his way into Carlos Catal's sort of range of that sort of mid 2 minute time. It seems as though he is trying his best to try and find any time he can. Obviously, the way that you set up a car around here, you either go low downforce really quick in the straights, so at the beginning and the end of the lap you're going to be faster than everyone, but through the middle sector you've got so many corners that rely on that high downforce. Puon, you've got the flip-flap, as I like to call it. Can't remember the actual the name that the Belgians call it, but I love calling it the flip-flap. It's the chicane just after Puon. Absolutely amazing corner when you get it right. Yeah, Campus I believe is the name, but I've heard it called
so-
all sorts of different things. But
the no-name corner has a name too as well. So I don't have my
isn't it
notes at the moment.
speakers now?
Yeah, you're right. Something like that. Yeah. So he did come in there, but Lewis up at a P3 currently, provisionally for the second row. Now, it's crucial, obviously, first row here. I think pole or second on the grid is also a fantastic, because you know that run. And I'm not quite sure the F2 cars, but is the inside line or the outside line? The racing line is for the P1, or is it the off-racing line?
I believe it starts on that inside line going into turn 1, which will be yeah. So as you go into turn 1, you've got the inside line, but then that would turn to the outside of the first part of Eau Rouge. So if someone's alongside you, they could potentially try and make a daring move. Obviously, it's something that we see a lot in sim racing, especially.
2 through Eau Rouge, my friend. I close my eyes every time I see that. That's just like, that's scary. I mean, it can be done, but it's like who's going to lift first, and who's going to go to the hospital first if you don't?
Yeah, basically. It's why I'm happy that they've changed the circuit in real life to maybe make that less of a problem. But yes, it is one of those things that hopefully in sim we don't see anyone having major accidents. We do have a ruling as well, just to update people who may have not realized or kept up to date with things happening in the background here in the IFL. So if your car has too much damage to the point of where you cannot drive it back to the pit lane, you can tow back, but you're not allowed to use a fast repair if you do so. So a fast repair is basically like a free fix for your car.
Repairs. Yeah, exactly. That's great to have the fast repairs, but tow, that can cost you a bit of time.
Yeah, so if you can get the car back to the pit lane so you can drive it back, you can then use your fast repair if you have damage that would otherwise ruin your race. It's a change that they made with a couple of the safety car rulings as well, just because the safety cars were proving to be a bit too powerful. So cars could pit sort of on lap 3, go all the way to the end, and end up winning the race from being like 20th. So nice to see that changed, but for the moment I haven't really seen it massively impact anything. But there will be a couple of admins just watching out for people potentially doing that and using their fast repair if their car has to be towed back to the pit lane. They will get a DQ if they do come onto the track, so things to just watch out for. If we see anybody get DQ'd after they have a massive accident, that's probably why.
So Michael Massey is watching out there. Well, he did last season. You want to go on board with a driver who's about to start a hot lap, and I'll maybe give you a bit of a guide around Spa.
Sure, absolutely. I believe Lewis Colon is actually starting his first flying lap.
The old Lewis Colon, that's currently
11th.
Yep, in the... I thought it was going to be a... Here we go. Anyway, I was going to say, he's going to be climbing his way up through Eau Rouge, obviously one of the famous flat... What's he on the gear? 6th gear. Max revs, doesn't lift. Slices, you want to slice it as quickly as possible, obviously a straight line. Now, down the Camel Straight, max on the power. Then it's going to be spotting your braking point for Lacombe, and Lacombe is a series of 7, 8, and 9. So you're going to maximize the track. You get in, a little bit of downshifting, a little bit of braking. It's nice and smooth, so I'm just used to the Formula 1 cars go a little bit quicker than that, but it does take it like a nice Sunday drive, of course, on a Saturday. And the tricky going into Brussels, big hairpin corner, just sweeps and sweeps and sweeps and sweeps. You want to get on the power as quickly as possible, but not too much, because you have to sweep it all the way over to the left and then get ready, obviously, down the hill. And then this is Puhorn. We'll see if they take the racing line. Some people go off in the AstroTurf to the right here as much as possible. He doesn't. Puhorn's another big sweeping corner. It's a classic one. Up in 5th gear, almost 6th gear on the revs here. Climbing up the hill now. This is the campus tunnel you turned about. This is 14. There's a series of S's here. And it is up shifting to the series up the hill. And this is where that high-speed section, that the downforce is really going to count, because this is a Curva del Ferrari, if I pronounce that one correctly. And then you got to sweep down the hill. Now it's just flat, 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 because you've got Blockmont. Turn 17 coming up in a second. Really, it's a series of 2 turns, but it's just flat. Maximum power. This is when the car's is screaming at its best. Bit of traffic up the road shouldn't be a problem because then you've got to get ready for your heavy braking zone. For the last time around this track, bus stop, moved out of the way. The driver up ahead. Here you go, spot the apexes perfectly. Turn into the left here for the second of the bus stop. On the power, there's a short stop line coming up in a second. I had his lap. Stays in P11.
Yeah, it looks like he had a little bit of a mistake coming through, I believe it was Brussels, as you mentioned. Just on the exit of Brussels, he seemed to just get on the power a little bit too early, or didn't give the car enough time to react to the off-camber nature of it. As such, car's just washing out, and you just can't get on the power, otherwise you just end up on the grass on the outside, and it's just, at that point, you can't really do anything, so you're just going to have to sit and wait. That's probably why he was also weaving a little bit on that transition between Speaker's Corner and then Puon as well. Just maybe trying to brush off any dirt that got onto the tyres. Obviously, iRacing will still simulate that. Maybe not to a degree that we could deem as, like, realistic, but it's there. You know, if you dirty your tyres, it is there. But Lewis Colon is a driver that I hope to see him do well. He's one of those drivers that I love watching him race, but he never really has the results to back it up sometimes. He seems to... I don't know, he just sort of gets involved in that midfield battle, does really well in the midfield, he can't just quite find that last little push that he needs to catch up to the likes of Archer, Cattell, Larson. But maybe, who knows, at the end of the season, it's a long season ahead, maybe he can find that pace.
Well, halfway through the season.
Yeah.
So yeah, he got it done, and Lewis is currently 6th in the championship, so he's ahead of Frederick, and Frederick is the man that's currently on provisional pole, but then again, as you mentioned, Frederick is more of a reserve driver coming in, setting a statement early. And Caesar's not having a very good time around here as well. Currently running in P6 to the qualifying.
Well, as you say that, he is improving and does have a toe from the car in front, so maybe going into the bus stop, we may see him improve. And if he can, that should put him in a much better position than he is currently. P6 right now. Let's see what he can do across the line. Isn't going to be enough to improve. Doesn't look like it is. Maybe he picked up an... Oh, no. Just as I say that, iRacing gives me the data late, as per usual. 202.0335. He did mention, though, last time we were racing, he mentioned that this isn't a particularly strong track for him. He doesn't really have the sort of speed that he likes. Lewis Archer very much bigged himself up and was saying, Spa is an amazing track for me, I absolutely love this track, I did really well last season here, and he ended up winning, I believe it was winning that race last season, so he's looking to try and do that, but he's bigged himself up, and at the moment, I'm seeing 2 people quicker than him, so...
Well, he just killed himself on the track and just rolled the car about 10 times, but it doesn't matter because you get back in the pit lane there and get that fixed up. Qualifying's almost going to be over, and that's it. Frederick's still holding on to that 208, so the 2.55 flat ahead of Carlos and Lewis. Caesar gained a little bit there, so the championship leader at the moment has moved himself up into P5. Dangerous territory to be, I'd have to say, as you're going to all rock into La Source, the first turn we all have seen in the past. Many accidents occurring there, so you're going to have to try to be bold, brave, and making sure that everybody's going to be nice and clean. And I'm seeing Butt Kicker up in the right-hand corner of that. One of the sponsors are right, Butt Kicker. I know I have some Butt Kicker headphones and jazz from one of our sponsors, right?
Yeah, so Butt Kicker do sponsor us. We absolutely appreciate everything they do for us. They provide us with actual rewards at the end of the championship as well. So... Any butt kicker goodies? Yeah, so actually one of them is one of the butt kicker. I believe it was one of their seat shakers, whatever they call them. I can't remember the exact name. I love that. I apologize.
Oh, that is rumbling.
Yeah.
You know how the I don't know if you've been in New York, how that goes. They use a different like horn, right? Because a lot of people in the cars with the music cranked, so you can't hear a siren, but it rumbles you in New York. There is a rumble that they use for the police cars. That's what butt kicker does. It rumbles you, but it rumbles you in your chair and your headphones and all the other gear they have.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. And it's one thing that, here in the iFormula League, we're not a massive league. We're trying to grow as every league, as we just see Frederick Larson unfortunately having a little bit of a moment there, gliding rearward with that wall. Thankfully, he will be able to get back on track, reset that damage, and go again. But yeah, the sponsors help us massively, providing rewards for the people who do exceed in this championship, because it's always a very close one. We want to give back a little bit to the community that we have here, and thankfully they help us do it. You know, it's all amazing
absolutely.
stuff.
Good on them for doing that, and shout out, obviously, and we give you a shout out, but it's not just sponsors that we don't use the gear. I mean, I have some butt kicker gear. As I said, I have some butt kicker headphones and stuff, so this is stuff that we use, which is great. So you're sponsoring the right thing rather than those ads that sometimes you get on, you know, YouTube and all that sort of stuff where it's like completely non-related to the product you would ever want to buy. So yeah, that's good on. Support them, obviously, guys, if you can. I was about to mention something for a second, but I just slipped my mind, actually. I know, it was going to be fine. Rolex, of course. As I cast a lot of the F1 races, I've actually coined the term Rolex, the Rolex time penalty award. So if you get too many time penalties, you need a Rolex watch to keep you online. Hey, Vanzi's out there. Yeah, and Rolex, mind you, have never sent me a watch just yet. Thomas Vaughn's out there now. He's a part of the F1, right? And I know Vanzi because I've actually consulted Vanzi a lot, g'day, about iRacing in general, GT cars, Formula cars, everything. He's a man that knows his stuff, and I really do appreciate you spending some time with me, Vanzi, on multiple occasions to let me know how it all works with iRacing.
Yeah, I mean, iRacing in general, actually getting started sometimes feels a bit daunting to a lot of people. So when you first start out, you're greeted with effectively a subscription service. That's how iRacing runs its business model, and that's sort of how it works. You pay X amount per month, depending on whether or not you buy monthly, yearly, 3 monthly, whatever suits your current situation. And from there, you then buy cars and tracks that you will then have the licenses for, and that will allow you to go racing based on your iRatings, safety ratings, to race with other people online all across the world. Doesn't matter where you are, you could race with someone from Brazil, you can race with someone from Japan, you can race with someone from China, you can race with someone from the UK, Aussie, you know, everywhere in the world. And it's really, really cool because every time that you sort of buy all these cars and tracks, every single week there's going to be official races hosted for all sorts of cars, all sorts of tracks. You think of a car category or like a track that you want to race on, iRacing probably has a really good version of it. They
like
laser scan everything. Well, maybe not a lawnmower, but...
or the Red Bull event that they have with the little carts that they make to go down a hill. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, the soapbox race. Hey, maybe it's coming.
Yeah, soapbox, that's it. But they've got to remember, too, they laser scan the tracks. They put a lot of effort into it. So you're paying, and I know recently buying tracks and stuff, you're paying for it because they put the effort into it. They update it, and you get the update there, obviously, depending on how old it is, but you'll get that free update. It's serious racing, of course. So you spend your money, but you're spending your money on something that you're going to own and you love and cherish, because that's what motor racing is all about, and that's what this is. It's not a fancy arcade game where you have a career mode and you're like, yeah, it's great, blah blah blah. But after that, you drop the game a month later because there's nothing else to do, right? Yeah. Unless you go multiplayer, and their multiplayer versions aren't very good. And this is where this game is all about multiplayer.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, not game, sorry, simulation.
Yeah.
Very specific on that one.
You gotta, we iRacers, we love the term sim. Anytime we can get away with saying it, we will use it.
Yeah, because it's not. I mean, it's not like you go to your parents and say, you're playing another game. You're like, well, guess what? There's about 3 or 4 drivers that play this and have just turned into real professional drivers. So is that really a game?
Yeah. It's really cool to see, though, that you could go from sitting in your living room, your bedroom, wherever it is you've got your setup, racing on either controller, keyboard, wheel, whatever takes your fancy.
No keyboard and iRacing. Sorry, I'll cut you off on that one. That ain't gonna happen, my friend. But yeah, controller, and obviously
controller can work. But you can go from that to then getting a real world drive with a real world team. iRacing do loads of events for, they've got their eNASCAR series, they've got their Porsche Super Cup series, they've got a whole bunch of officially licensed events that actual teams will support and really try to push these sim drivers and say, hey, look, as cool as it is to race in the real world, obviously we all love that, right? And that's, as motorsport fans, we enjoy the real thing. But this sim stuff, it can get you the same sort of buzz, but from your living room. It's
Absolutely.
so cool.
I mean, talk to Vanzi out there as well. I've seen his rig set up. He's got 3 screens. He's got the whole seat and all the right pedals and all that jazz. I mean, he takes it seriously. Hence the reason why he's a great driver as well. Well, qualifying's over.
Indeed. I went by in a
So
flash.
Frederick did hold on to that, my friend.
Yeah,
So
it seems like
the Danish driver got it done.
Yeah, he wasn't able to find any more pace. I think that 2 minutes .553 is sort of the limit of where this car can go. Maybe you could find a bit more in it, but it doesn't seem like there was anything left. Maybe a tow could have helped him push, but a 159, unfortunately, not on the cards for this session. What it does mean that Frederick Larsen will take pole position, as we mentioned. Carlos Gatau locking out that front row with him, and then Lewis Archer in 3rd place, with Cesar Cabral actually improving, making it to 4th. So for a championship fight, that's what we're going to look at now, is we're going to look at Carlos Gatau, Lewis Archer, and Cesar, all to battle it out, and then to have Larsen in the mix might make the championship a bit more interesting moving forward. There was a couple...
spicy.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
I mean, Cesar starting in P4, who's leading the championship. Lewis starting in P3, who's second in the championship. Then you have Carlos, who's 4th in the championship, starting in P2.
Almost like they did a reverse grid, but just between those 3.
Yeah, that's right, because Frederick's in P7, starting in P1.
Yeah. But there was one thing that I did want to mention, is that Ivan Bovekamp did actually have a qualifying penalty. That's why he wasn't out on track, but he is actually in this session. So if we look at the results from qualifying and it shows that, then just keep in mind that he did have, unfortunately, a couple penalties. I could get up the reasons why, but I think...
He's been a naughty boy and
Basically.
he's had to face the punishment. That's okay. We've all been there. It happens. I mean, talk to Max Verstappen about that. Talk to Lewis Hamilton. How many times they've been sitting in the naughty corner?
Hey, sometimes you just need that slap on the wrist.
Just to explain to everybody, because I'm relatively new, so they're going to go a little bit of a warm-up lap. How are they going to start this? As a rolling start or a standing still start?
So this is a standing, same as it is in real-world Formula Series, in both Formula 3, 2, and 1. All of our series here use the standing starts. Effectively, you will be on the grid. You've got to wait for the lights. Once the lights go out, you just let that clutch go, and hopefully you don't stall. it's
and the traction control and all that jazz. None of that. Throw it out.
None of it.
Yep. True man machine. I love it.
Yeah. Throw it out. Throw it in the trash. Don't need that. We're not a GT driver here. We just have just the car. That's it.
Hey, I owned a GT. I owned a R34 Skyline. And I love my traction control. Thank you very much.
Hey, it helps, sure, but you know, this is one of those series where, you know, it's single-seater series. You want to try and make it as much on the drivers as possible. So single car class as well. So everyone's in the same sort of machinery. The only difference being is how they set up the car. You know, do they run more wing, less wing? What do they do with the suspension that might make the car a little bit easier to handle curbs, that may give them a bit of an edge? You know, those are all the things that you think about in a single car series. Unlike
it's what I asked Vanzi about, actually. He tells me all that information.
Yeah.
You're right. There's a lot to set up because it's a sim.
Indeed. But what I will do is I will throw up the standings on you, just because we have talked a bit about it. But let's talk about the team standings as well. The team standings is an interesting one. So the way that this league works is we actually have some of those drivers are combining together to create almost like a mini Constructors Championship. Obviously, it won't work the same as F1 because we don't have budgets for that. iRacing won't allow us to, you know, take these cars and like add bits and do wind tunnel testing and all of that sort of stuff. So we have our own sort of mini team standings, and the way that it works is there's 2 drivers on each team. Those drivers will both contribute points. Any reserve driver for the teams also contributes to the points, provided the team doesn't exceed 2 drivers for that race weekend. And if they do, it will just be the 2 drivers who scored the most points. So, say for example, Cuda Works has Chris Byram and Ivan Bovekamp. Those are the 2 drivers for the Cuda Works team who are currently leading the team's championship. If they have
and
a
Elisa,
standard...
I have a question.
Yeah, go
just
ahead.
real quick on that one. Are there equal performance with the cars?
Yeah, so there's no ballasts or anything. So even if you're leading the championship by a mile, we don't have any success ballast or anything. So every car is identical, meaning the only difference is going to be in the driver itself, maybe a bit in the setup, but it's not going to be massive. As we see a couple drivers actually doing a couple practice starts as well, something very important to get right.
Williams versus Ferrari in the real F1 world. Yeah,
exactly. Okay. But as I say, going back to the whole teams thing, so top 3 teams at the moment, one of the top 3 teams is a solo entrant, which would be our championship leader, Cesar Cabral, for U-Race Brazil. And I've questioned him a few times about this and be like, hey, are we going to see a second driver from U-Race at some point? Every single time he's been like, I'm trying to work on it, I'm trying to get people involved, they're really enjoying what we're doing. He's a really passionate guy. I love Cesar, by the way. Absolutely amazing driver. Now, you know, as commentators, we're supposed to be impartial and not have favorites, but every interview I have with him, he's so full of energy and bubbly, it's amazing.
He's probably looking for an Ayrton Senna as a account driver from Brazil, but yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, so as I say, with the team standings, we've got Kuda Works currently leading the way, 182 points. Then behind them is GTR Evolution with 148 points. That will be the team of Lewis Archer and Daniel Thomas. I want to see if Daniel Thomas is in today. He is, so those two potentially trying to look to battle with the Kuda Works boys. Maybe try and tighten up the field a little bit. And we've got U-Race Brazil, as I mentioned, solo driver at the moment with Cesar Cabral, followed off by Ariga Motorsport in the team standings, which is the team of Carlos Quetal, and I believe it's Alexander Carver-Robbins, who's currently 10th in the championship. And just as warm-up has ended, we will finish off with the 5th place team, Turning Point Racing, who would be the driver pairing of Luis Colon and, if I can find his teammate, I think it's Corey Schartzer, I think that's how you pronounce that name? Who I don't think Corey's turned up today. So it's just Lewis flying the flag for Turning Point Racing by himself. But yeah, the top 10 is definitely interesting for the championship standings as the drivers go. Couple people tied on points as well. You're looking at Alex Goodnecht and Daniel Thomas tied on points. Alexander Carver-Robbins and Ronald Mathot, currently 1 point difference between those two for 10th and 11th place. But all eyes are on the front 3. Cesar Cabral, Lewis Archer, and Chris Byram. But enough about that. Let's get those standings off your screen, because I believe I'm seeing people gridding up.
Yeah, they're ready for you. Alisa, we've enjoyed our Spas, mate, but let's these gladiators sweat it out here. Well, the Spa race, the classic one, over to you.
Indeed we do, as we've got all 5 red lights. They are going green here in Belgium for the Belgian Grand Prix. There seems to be a couple cars going all over on the track. A couple people not getting as good of a start as they liked. Frederick Larson having a bit of an incident there in turn 1, not getting that right. That's allowing Lewis Archer to go through, getting 2 positions off the start, which Lewis Archer is now going to lead them up the hill through Eau Rouge, through Radion, as just behind them, you're seeing people go side by side. I did mention it before. They're already doing it side by side through Eau Rouge and Radion. Chris Byram under pressure now from Easteen, and all behind, it's just going to be a swarm of cars here down the Camel Straight. Every single driver currently trying to jockey for position, trying to find anything they can to get through. Frederick Larson currently trying to make any sort of move that he can on Stathis, the Greek driver, new to the series as well. As there's contact between them, Stathis is in the wall. Potentially that's going to bring out some sort of safety car, or at least a yellow flag for that, and maybe he's out of the race. I'm not sure there whether or not Frederick made a move that was a bit too ambitious, but that, I believe, will be him out of that race, or at least crawling back to the pit lane. It looked like a very, very heavy contact between both of them.
That's kind of remnants of the Imola sprint race, isn't it? When you're seeing basically an Alfa Romeo going into a fence. A great launch, I have to say, from Lewis Colon. He just sliced his way through there for the Turning Point Racing team. But for that, the road, there's certainly action. No local yellows that I'm seeing, my friend, so it's race on.
Indeed it is, and Chris Byram is trying to pressure out one of the newer drivers, Easteen, but also getting pressure from Seth Davidson behind, so has to keep one eye in front, one eye behind, one eye on the mirrors, and trying to look all over the gearbox, trying to use the slipstream as much as he can. Obviously, we do have DRS here in this series, live on lap number 2, but keeping up ahead, Frederick Larsen's going to have to defend from Isteen, and I believe they've already made that move, and there looks to be some front wing damage there on Frederick Larsen, so that contact not doing him any good. I'm going to see whether or not he goes into the pit lane. He does not. There's one of the Lumos drivers cuts the chicane as well. I believe that was Seth Davidson, and in the background there was, I believe that was Alexander Carver-Robbins for the Ariga Motorsport team, also off in the background. So like action everywhere at the moment, as it seems like Lewis Archer got an amazing start and is now trying to make the most of it. Carlos Quintao, maybe not the best getaway that he was looking for, but enough to at least push him up into second place quite comfortably, and then battling behind. Obviously that's going to mean that Carlos can pull away, obviously now out of slipstream range.
Oh, massive accident in the background as well.
Oh,
I was going to say,
Ivan Bovkamp
that's
flipping.
Ivan. Caesar's crashed as well earlier, and that's a championship leader. And then you can see another battle occurring up the road there. Nothing's happening with the stewarding team right now. They're falling asleep.
No, I think that's it. They've called the safety car out now. There's yellow flags out, so that's going to neutralize the race. And that looked like it was a massive incident there for Ivan Bovkamp. I'm not sure what happened. I didn't quite catch that. I just caught the end of it with Ivan being up in the air and definitely not where you want to be. You want to be
hanging like
all
a cow.
4 tires on the track, so...
A replay of that at all?
Yeah, I'm going to try and get a replay now on board with Ivan Bovkamp as he goes into Eau Rouge, up through Radion, and let's see what happens. Oh, there's a car in front of him that loses it, and he's just forced to take evading action. Tries to swerve to the left and unfortunately loses the back end of the car, and that was him into the wall, and that's going to be his race out. I think that was one of the Lumos drivers. I want to say that could have been potentially, maybe it was Alex Gutnecht, possibly. I'm not sure if Alex ended up recovering from that, but that would have been...
Ivan had spun. It could have been Ivan.
So Ivan was the one who spun and ended up in the air?
Okay, that's right.
So I'm wondering whether or not it was Alex Gutnecht of the Lumos guys. You can tell from their absolutely beautiful livery, by the way, that white and silvery flake to it with the blue tints. Absolutely amazing. That's Alex Gutnecht and Seth Davidson. So one of them was spun around in front of Ivan, and then that forced Ivan to take evasive action, and up Ivan goes, up into the air, nowhere really to do anything about. You know, you hit that wall, you're up in the air.
Yeah.
That's your race over, unfortunately.
Of Lando Norris in last year's Spa race. Unfortunately, that's the same wall you clip. Usually the opposite wall, of course, with Radion. But in that case, yeah, he had to take evasion of action, hit the grass, high speed, climbing through a Rouge. It's, well, that's the reason why Spa is one of those dangerous tracks as well. They're trying to change it, but we have a caution. Yeah. So racing incidents all over the place at the start. Once again, Caesar, remember, dropping a lot. 7 places dropped. The Greek driver of, I love those Greek names, I don't pronounce it, but Statsis, I think it is, dropping 9. Yeah. It actually will gain the American driver currently running in the 64 car, P3, gain 4 positions. And Lewis Archer, the Brit, you said the man on a rampage recently, he's now leading the race.
Yeah, he got a really good start. I want to see maybe if I can get a replay of just the start from him, just from his point of view, because it looked like it was one that was absolutely incredible. He managed to get a really good run off the line, and as he did so, managed to just get that inside, hold it, and I believe Frederick Larsen off the start just didn't quite have the grip around the outside.
Yeah, Frederick dropped 4 positions as well too. He did basically a, spoiler alert, Max Verstappen start in the sprint race earlier today.
So let's get an onboard here then with Lewis Archer for, so his overtake at the start here on Carlos Quintao, I believe that's Frederick Larsen going wide there. And then, yeah, Lewis Archer just avoided all contact in turn 1, cuts the inside line, no one's around him, he can just put his foot down, clean run through Eau Rouge Radion, everyone else behind him is battling, and that's it, he's gone. That's easy.
What you want, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I said. Start.
P1 and P2 are crucial in Spa as you go into La Source, because anybody can have it. Last late breakers are early in the power. If you get too wide, you get a bit tangled behind. And there it is. So, yeah, that's good to see. So it's Lewis leading Carlos, and obviously Istan.
Yeah, I believe that's how we're pronouncing that, is Istan in P3.
Istan, 64 car, gaining 4 positions. That was a great launch for him as well, too. Chris has gained 2.
Lewis
Bryant.
and Alex both gaining 5 as well.
So taking advantage of those accidents in the midfield that we do expect. But it wasn't into La Source a lot, wasn't it? It was going through a Rouge and
primarily
Radion.
through a Rouge and Radion, just people losing it on exit. I want to see what happened with Cesar Cabral as well, because Cesar didn't seem to have a great start and then just had some sort of unfortunate incident. Just clipped the curb too much going through the bus stop and looped it round. I think there may have been someone who caused a bit of contact there at the end.
Oh, yeah, it was contact.
That was close. As I believe that was Alexander Carver-Robbins who spun it in front of him and almost came back right across his nose. That was very close. Almost caused even more contact.
And you don't want to be seeing a car facing in the opposite direction, and that generally happens at the end of the bus stop chicane as well too. If you get the loud pedal a little bit too loud, spin around. That was a little bit of a race instance, of course, that happens there. That's what happens. Well, it does happen, obviously, on the first couple of laps. We're on lap 3 now, under caution. So we had 1 green flag racing, per se. You should get ready for more racing in a second.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll be able to tell because the safety car lights should go out either this time by or next lap by. I believe it will be next lap. Normally what we like to do as well in the IFL is we will let any lapped cars through, provided we have enough laps to do so. Obviously, if...
No, Mikey, no. This is not right.
But we let everyone through. We let everyone through. That's the difference.
All right. That's good. That's good.
We let
Ivan's
everyone
still
through.
pit lane, my friend, and I'm repairing a lot of damage to that car, but good to see. Stay with it. Long race.
Hopefully.
Anything can happen.
Yeah, hopefully he can get back out. You know, Spa, very, very long track. We know this, right? It's one of the longest, as you mentioned earlier on. One of the longest in the calendar.
Carlos has gone in, my friend.
Yeah, there's a lot of people going into the pits, and safety car lights have gone out, so we will be going green next lap. But for those of you who are going into the pit lane early, potentially, they're going to fuel up right to the end. And maybe get the jump on the likes of Lewis Archer. Surprised to see him not pit.
Different tyre compounds? Can you elaborate that one?
So I don't think there's any different tyre compounds, or at least none that we can see through spectating, unlike in the F1, for example, where we can actively see the different tyre compounds used. This is all just one tyre, one Michelin rubber that they have to use for however long the race is. You know, you can change tyres if you want, but it's going to be the exact same compound, so you know how the tyre is sort of likely to react. So you don't have to like change from like being really aggressive on the soft tires or trying to nurse the soft tires because they're getting a little bit too hot, and then switch to the mediums where you can be a bit more aggressive and they sort of react quite nicely to it. In this, it's one compound, so you know what you're getting, you know how you should drive the car for the rest of the race based on that tire. And yeah, that's sort of all we have. We have refueling.
An Alex Albon in the previous F1 race, and just go practically to the end and just change tire compound if you have to. Of course, if it's mandatory. But yeah. Obviously, fresh rubber is going to be better if you can. If you have boots available. Ivan's out, so they got those repairs done, long repairs, but he's back in it, and that's great. Safety cars helped him. Yeah, he can bunch up the rest of the field.
Yeah, so I believe he will only be 1 lap down, maybe 2 laps down. Depends on where he is when the green flag is waved. He should be on to the back of them in theory.
He is now. Should he be? Can he unlap himself, as you said, or not?
So, I think because we're going green this time by, they may not let it happen, but we'll see. Obviously, it's down to the steward's discretion whether or not they let lap cars through. Normally we do, but normally we do at the very start of the safety car. So we won't do it necessarily right here, for example, because you know everyone's starting to get ready to go green. They're starting to get in their head, when are they going to go? For Lewis Archer, for example, he's probably now starting to think, when am I going to go? Am I going to back up the field into Blanchimont, and on the exit of the bus stop, am I just going to absolutely gun it, or am I going to hold off on the exit of the bus stop, see if I can catch anyone who maybe tries to get a jump, and when they ease off, then I'll go. Maybe get a bit more of a sort of run into turn 1 that's a bit more uninterrupted.
So as a race driver, and you are, and I'm not, how is it right now when your tires are getting cold, of course, because you're under the safety car under a very low speed for a car that's designed to be a lot quicker. How you try to get the temperature in your tires is very crucial. When you hit the loud pedal, the rear end just slips on you. What do you do? So
normally you're trying to get tire temp as much as you can. Normally the best way to do so is by using the brakes a lot. So what you may see is a couple people actually dragging the brakes a bit to try and really warm up those tires, really warm up that temperature. And as you see, Lewis Archer's doing a bit of weaving. Doesn't really help too much. It's mainly to clear any sort of debris that may have got on the tires from like marbles from running like slightly off track, offline. But primarily you're just sort of using the brakes and just trying to manage it. And you have to be a bit more careful on lap 1 because those cold tires are really going to affect how the car is, really affect how the car behaves, because on colder tires you're just not going to have the same grip. The tires won't grip to the road as well through just the transfer of sticky rubber, basically. Like, you think of it like glue, right? When you've got like the hot glue versus like just your standard sort of regular like Pritt stick. It's like the hot glue sticks way better. So it's the same thing with the tire.
Somebody's off in the
I believe
grass.
that was Eiston. Yeah, doing a bit of weaving and then deciding that he's tired of racing for a little bit and deciding to cut grass instead.
It is glue. Yeah, but that's the reason why you have to wear gloves, because you do not touch these tires in real life after they've been out on track, because they are hot. I mean, they probably would just minor burns to you, but they will burn you. So definitely, you just said. Okay, now it's going to be crucial at the moment because Lewis has
Lewis going to get a good start? That's what we're all looking for.
Very careful hitting the loud pedal right now. Out of the corner, I've seen people spin here a lot. Good exit. Oh, there it is. Oh, no, sorry, I'm getting a little excited.
He's not going. He's not going yet. He's doing what I thought he would and backing the field up. And then just as he does that, he starts going right as the rest of the field are just sort of easing off. That allows him to get a really good run here into turn number 1. I don't think anyone manages to make any moves there. I believe Chris Byron was the only one that looked like he was going to make anything of it, and nothing doing there. Further down the field, though, it looks like all the people coming out of the bus stop are now all together in a very nice pack, and we may see potentially even more daring moves as our camera is shaken through the absolute speed that these guys are carrying through Eau Rouge and Radion flat out every time. And I believe Chris Byram's had a little bit of an incident there, maybe even a penalty, potentially a slowdown, as he's now lost a couple of positions, and Lewis Archer had his position taken as well. Maybe just got Eau Rouge and Radion a little bit wrong and allowed the car of in the number 64 up ahead. But Lewis trying to look for any way back. He's going to maybe try making a move here. Very defensive from the number 64, but round the outside, Lewis Archer will try and go. Nothing doing just yet, so he's going to have to try and stick on the back of him. Not really a place you can try and pass in Speaker's Corner, but Alex Goodneck's behind is going to try and make anything of it. Nothing doing yet. Lewis Archer, again, looking to try and make any moves he can, but once again, Eiston, I believe, may have actually got a slowdown himself, so on the exit, maybe just got poo on slightly wrong, and that's allowed Lewis Archer to go straight through. So just as I say that Lewis wasn't trying to make any moves, all of a sudden Eiston had a little bit of an incident, and Lewis was just like, I'm right here, mate, I'm going to pounce right in there. And as such, Eiston now has to be careful of Chris Byron behind him. Alex Goodneck, as I mentioned, was trying to make a move through Speaker's Corner, but couldn't really find anything. Chris Byron doing an amazing job of defending. But now, with this straight here, down towards Blanchimont, we know it's flat out for these cars. The dirt, is not going to affect him too much, so Chris Byron's going to be able to go flat out all the way here. And is he going to be able to find any sort of move into the bus stop? We're going to look to see him maybe try looking up the inside, but it doesn't look like he's quite close enough. Maybe Eiston's running a really, really low downforce package here, as Chris Byram's rear end was stepping out a little bit just through there. Maybe the tires still aren't warm yet, but hey, it looked like it was a relatively clean restart from most of the guys. And further down the field, especially Carlos Quital with that newer rubber, struggling a bit on the exit. I saw he got a little bit of a snap, and he's now going to be under attack, potentially. Or that could have been Alexander Carver-Robbins, his teammate, actually. Sorry about that. Now under attack from Frederick Larson, who got a really good exit here of turn number 1, and potentially going to have Zach Perlmutter up the inside, as we've got a couple guys almost trying to look like they were going side by side through Eau Rouge and Radion. Further down the field, Cesar Cabral, Stathis, and Alexander Carver-Robbins real close. But further up the field, Lewis Archer and Istine have switched positions again, and Alex Goodneck has got involved, so Chris Byram is now also dropped in position, now down into P4. But again, there seems to be action everywhere on track right now, Miggles.
Absolutely, and it's still occurring at the moment. Look at P1, P2, and P3, P4. So there's 2 battles, and they swapped it. So Lester and Lewis have exchanged. Alex and Chris have exchanged. Another attack right now from Lewis. Headed down, where are they? Into Pool 1.
Amazing move up the inside. Nice and
Great
easy.
exit. So might be able to cover him off for the rest of the lap. What about behind? Alex and Chris, they've been at it. Ooh, Chris is going to have to back off in this one. No, don't sneak it up the inside here. It's a high-speed corner. It could turn into the fence. He has to sit behind him right now through campus. He's going to go for it. He's like, why not? No. Oh, he'll be out in the grass or on the sand, actually. Yeah,
that
great
was
racing.
Very close between the two of them. Alex Gutneck's front, Chris Byram's front almost taken off by Alex Gutneck's rear end there as Chris tried to make a move but thought better of it just at the end. But again, with this slipstream, maybe Chris Byram's going to be able to make a move, potentially running a bit higher downforce because he doesn't seem to have that same sort of top end speed that everyone else around him is having. You know, Lewis Colon managed to catch up a lot that time by as well, but just while we're looking at moves that are on, potentially, there seems to be a huge crash there through the bus stop chicane, someone flipping around all over the place, as Carlos Catal has now managed to get himself up a little bit further. I believe that was Alexander Carver-Robbins as well coming into the pit lane, so more damage for him, but yeah, Zachary definitely having an incident there, and it's not something you want to see, right? Cars just flipping all over the road.
No, no, not in a multi-million-dollar car as well. In a series, when you're halfway through a championship. But it's bold and brave, and at the moment, bold and brave could be Lewis making a run right now on Chris. Can he get done, make it stick? He's on the racing line right now, and I think at the moment, Chris is going to have to sit back behind and let him through. That is job done, I would have to say.
Yeah, definitely.
Ooh, definitely not yet.
I think Chris is going to try and maybe make a move into Brissell, but it's one of those corners, I think, Brissell, where you can try and make the move, but you really need that inside line if you're going to make it stick. The off-camber nature really affects these cars, and I believe Lewis Colon getting a little bit of a sort of out of shape there, and as such is going to allow Chris to go right up the inside into Pouon, and again, that seems to be a move a lot of these drivers are trying to do, especially up here at the front. Just up the inside of Pouon, get a really good exit out of Speaker's Corner, into the inside of Pouon, and the guy behind just has to lift off and let you through, because you can't really fight it.
Yeah, and Pouon, the exit speed you got out of that one, as you saw, gives you a massive gap advantage. So that's the one you're going to be looking out for. Your engineer will be sitting there telling you at the moment, oh, no, don't worry about it, mate. Get your head down. But yeah, you can see the massive gain that you get if you get a great exit at Pouon. So that's very, very cautious. That's something they're going to be studying.
Yeah,
and it's interesting at the moment still. Lewis is now leading from Leston, and Alex is in that P3, and Chris is in that P4, Lewis in P5.
Lots of Lewises in this championship. I'm going to try and make sure that we focus on the right one. But yeah, further down the field, by the way, Cesar Cabral and Carlos Catal, we mentioned that they were up in that sort of championship fight and currently 10th and 11th, scrapping for the last few points, filling positions. But Cesar Cabral obviously wanting to get as many points as he can, knowing Lewis Archer is currently leading the race, but has a pit stop ahead. So depending on how the gaps play out, he may actually end up taking Lewis's place, especially if Lewis and Eystein keep battling the way that they are. Because we're seeing this every single lap. Eystein and Lewis are either working together and trying to use like a frog leap technique down the Kemmel Straight to like push themselves further ahead, or we're seeing them just battle so hard that it's not allowing Lewis to get the lap times in that he really wants to. Yeah, they're doing low 203s compared to like everyone else who's doing maybe a mid 203 if you're Alex Gutnecht, but primarily like 204s and 205s. So they're still faster than anyone else on track right now, but they're also battling the entire time.
Yeah, here we go. The classic Pouon overtake opportunity here. We saw it before. Around the outside.
Whoa!
He does it.
Oh,
He's got the
nice.
exit speed once again. That's been proven now. This is something you have to study out there, boys and girls. Pay attention. That's the move of all moves that you need to do right now here in Spa.
Around the outside of Pouon. I'm standing up right now. That move from Lewis was just absolutely incredible. I don't think I've seen anyone do that. Like, let alone in real life or in sim. That was a move. I mean, that was absolutely incredible. He set that up all the way back from Speaker's Corner, just sent it around the outside, no fear, kept it, and is now trying and run away with Chris Byram battling with Alex Gutnecht further behind. This battle staying very close, but no driver really being able to get ahead. And as I mentioned before, Chris Byram seems to be running just a bit more downforce, because at the end of the straights, even though he has slipstream, Alex Gutnecht seems to just be able to push away and not able to just quite get that overspeed that he needs to make a move into the bus stop, into any of the corners after any of these long straights from Kemmel to and the exit of Speakers into Puon, as we've seen lots of other drivers do. Yeah, maybe again, they're two different teams, but maybe they're going to try and work together to catch up to P1 and P2. That could also be a possibility.
Yeah, P1, P2, they're going to be close. So once again, they're going to see if Leston can take it. If I was Leston, I would back off. I wouldn't. Actually, what he does, he goes around the outside here, gets back on the racing line, has got Lewis. Now, this is the thing. Is Lewis going to try Pujon again? The Pujon maneuver. You go through Lacombe. If he gets chasing him through Lacombe, climb your way up to Brussels. Going to even take up the inside here. That's bold and brave. Have to lift a little bit. Now, get as close as you possibly can. I want to see this Pujon maneuver, and that's what we're going to call it from the Pujon move. Let's see if he can do it again, because he gained half a second out of that maneuver. Is he going to try it?
He's close enough to do it if he wants to.
He's going for it. Maybe. He can't go to the outside. He's covered him up this time. But he got the inside line. There it is. That's the Pujon move.
It doesn't matter.
Wow.
Inside, outside, Archer's going to absolutely hit the target every time. It's absolutely insane what he's able to do with that car. That GTR Evolution car is working for him in a big way right now. And what impresses me is the fact that Eystein's able to keep up this pace. Like, even though Eystein's got this sort of deficit through Puon, Archer's still able... Eystein's still able to keep up with Archer later on in the lap as well. So again, when we are talking about car setups, potentially Lewis is running more downforce. That's why he's able to keep so close through the first and third sectors, but through that middle sector, through Puon, through all these really tight twisty corners, Archer builds a gap. But now the slipstream's been broken, so maybe
it's happened again.
Yeah, like as I mentioned, like once again, like that gap was 1.5 seconds before the end of the straight, before
almost a second. Yeah, but look at the gap. Yeah, and now Leston catches him. So he got him? Remember on the Camel Straight, but I think it's a little bit further back. So maybe Lewis has paid attention to this one and using a little bit more power there to try to cover him off. Now, if he gets overtaken to the Camel, he can't. The Camel Straight right now, there's going to be a really catching speed, but it's up further than what it was in the previous lap.
But let's see, again, whether or not he's running a bit lower downforce. And I think you can even see it in the rear wing. Eystein's rear wing is definitely a lot lower, a lot flatter than Lewis, and goes for that move up the inside. And Lewis does a very good job of defending and manages to keep it there, which now that the move has been made, we know Lewis is very fast in this section, very fast through Puon as well. I'm wondering whether or not Eystein's now going to be able to keep up. As we mentioned,
I don't think he could do a Puon move here now. The Puon maneuver. He's going to be too far, definitely too far back.
Yeah,
I think Lewis has cut that one off, and Lewis has covered that quite clever. If he can make Puon work, obviously through the racing line, he does.
Someone who potentially does have the move ready and waiting in the works is Chris Byram. Got very close on the exit of Puon. Is he going to be able to make any moves here into the following corner? He looks up the inside of Alex Gutnecht, but not quite close enough just yet. So he's going to sit back. Is he going to try and make a move through any of these next couple of corners? I believe going now into Stavlo. Is he going to be able to go up the inside? And he's going to try it side by side through Stavlo, and Alex Gutnecht's all the way on the outside. Be careful not to run into that old lady's house on the exit of the corner as well. You got to be careful.
That's my grandma's house. Yeah, it's got the inside line through Blackmont. Now it's going to be interesting to see what's going to handle here. He's going to be the last late breaker. He's going to try a bus stop chicane maneuver. That's going to be risking it for the biscuit, I have to say. No,
yeah, and I think
clever.
Byram now has to just sit behind. And, you know, I mentioned it before. We see the wing difference between Eystein and Lewis. Look at the difference between Byram and Gutnecht as well. Like, you can visibly see that rear wing doesn't sit as high up on the rear of Alex's car compared to Chris's, and that's giving him such a big advantage in the straights that even if Chris Byron has the slipstream like we're seeing here, Alex is still able to pull away. And as a driver, I imagine that's going to be incredibly frustrating, right? You know you're in the slipstream, the car's still pulling ahead in front of you.
Yeah, well, we'll find out right now down the Camel Straight. Look at that. He's not gaining. Absolutely. I think Vanti called it out there as well. The difference between high and low downforce, it's massive. Look at that. It's actually dropping in the slipstream. So that's painful. And you got to be sitting there talking to your engineer right now going, Jeff, what have you done? What's wrong? My setup. But he's so much quicker through the corners. That's where he can make it up, of course, because he's got the more downforce.
Yeah, and
That's
this
gonna
is
be
what
interesting.
we're...
Pujon move. This
Yeah,
could be another
again.
one.
Let's see. Oh, good exit.
Yeah.
Good exit for Chris.
You
Going
can't
around
take
the
it here.
outside, surely not.
Nah. You have to follow now. It's too
Oh,
late.
maybe up
Climbing
the inside
hill.
of the second part of the corner, though.
Yeah, but you
Ooh.
gotta. You can't go a double through here. It turns into a nightmare. You have to follow now all the way down the hill.
But again, we
And
saw
we
him maybe
know
try to make a
that the-
move through these corners as well.
Oh, the straight line speed at the moment, but the downforce is not going to be enough when it gets on the allowed pedal right now. See,
Yeah.
he's going to have the inside line. You're going to try side by side.
Stavlo around the outside
Oh, he
again.
could. Yeah. Well, it's not over, of course. Go through Blockbot coming up soon.
But again,
Can he
this is
stick
one
to
of
it?
those
He's
things that we're
losing it.
seeing.
Yeah,
That
he's losing
low
the top end.
downforce, unfortunately, just not able to keep close enough. And this is the thing with Chris Byram. He now needs to be able to make that move in the middle sector and make it stick, much like Lewis Archer did, as Lewis does come into the pit lane, by the way. So he's pitting quite early. You know, normally we look at a
Both
couple
in
of drivers,
the top
maybe.
two.
Yeah, so Eystein's following Archer's line. Obviously, Eystein, new to the championship, maybe pits when Archer pits to see whether or not he can pick up any other positions. And now Chris Byram and Alex Goodnet, this is now a battle for the lead. And
Yeah, they will have to box at the moment. These other leaders going to box about well, in the Formula 1, it's 23 seconds. Not quite sure what it is in F2, but look at the straight line speed. He just
it's absolutely
annihilates him down
crazy.
Camel Straight. You just can't catch him. Lewis cannot catch him. I'm
I will
sorry,
say-
Chris can't catch him.
One thing to note, by the way, remember, Carlos Catal pit early. Cesar Cabral pit early. They don't have to pit again. Look at who they're ahead of right now. They're ahead of Lewis Archer,
That's
who was
true,
in the
actually.
lead. So, does that mean that Larson and Catal leading this race, potentially, with a net lead?
We'll find out after the short commercial break. Don't go, no, we won't. That tree always gets me when I'm on a different camera angle. Through Pujon, no move there. And maybe he's going to come a second time around here and decide to do it. Well, it's Pujon now, so my apologies. But yeah, no, climbing up the hill. Now, he thought about it last
Up the
time.
inside,
He's
tries
gonna try it.
again.
Yeah, you got to go outside here. And you got no traction if you come out of the corner.
But it will turn to the
Maybe.
inside again for the second part.
did get it!
Oh
He
my
did get it!
gosh! Chris, what a move! Again. So we've seen a move round the outside of Pujon, round the inside of Pujon, and also up the inside of the flip-flap as well. Like,
The Kirby Duff pull, yeah. But look at the straight line speed right now as they're going to make their way down Blockmont. And look at that. Look at their straight line speed there from Alex.
Chris just can't do anything. He just has to
No, he
sit and
can't.
hope that he can outbrake him into the bus stop. But by that point, Alex is already too far ahead.
What would you do out there, guys? I mean, if you're in the chat, I mean, we know Vanzi, Thomas Vance. What would you do, Vanzi, if you're on the different setup? Obviously, now you're going to have the cornering speed or you're going to have the straight line speed. What do you do? How do you defend? How do you overtake?
It's a very difficult decision, right? Because you've got to play to your car's strengths. But we know with Chris, that's going to be in the corners, and with Alex, it's going to be in the straights. We're seeing it right now. You know, Chris was alongside him on corner exit, but going into Old Rouge and Radion, Chris is trying his best to keep on. And
gonna
did he
drop
even
speed.
lift
Look at
through
this.
there? He was following
dropping
so
speed.
close.
In the slipstream, look at that. He can't get any gain. And if he goes and breaks the dirty air right now, all of a sudden he's going to drop a massive amount of speed. So he has to sit back. Look at that. He can't gain anything. Only in the corners. It's got to be frustrating. I have to calculate some numbers right now. They have plenty of time, of course. We have 15 of 29, so about halfway through. They could battle like this for the rest of it. Who's going to box as well, too? That's going to be interesting to see. Are they going to both copy each other? Do you follow them in? Do you check the undercut?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But we see also, you know, we're looking on board with Chris Byron right now, and you can visibly see how much quicker he is in this middle sector. With that added downforce, he's able to really keep everything on top of Alex. And once again, he's going to look through the second part of Pujon. Is he going to be able to get the exit speed? Again, we know Alex has that straight line speed. And again, going into the flip-flap, he makes that move up the inside and makes it work. On board, it looked very, very close between the two of
Carbon
them.
copy.
Yeah.
Absolute carbon copy, wasn't it?
But then watch down through Blanchimont. Once again, Alex Gutnecht, unless he messes up Stavlo, is going to be all over the back of him before the bus stop.
Yeah, he will. Look at him gaining right now. Look at that. In the slipstream. Look at that. It's like an extra. It's like a DRS activation. He's going to get him into the bus stop like he did last time.
Around the outside of Blanchimont, even.
Yeah. Look at the straight line speed, but then again, he's cornering. That's where it's punishing. It could do this all night long, couldn't you? In all race long, or about halfway through. But somebody's going to have to box soon between these two gladiators, because are they losing time currently to the likes of the other guys out there that have already boxed?
I mean, they just did the exact same lap time last lap, so when you're talking about drivers separated by inches or even millimeters rather than centimeters, these guys are putting it through as an absolute prime example of that. There is nothing to separate them. You can run high downforce or low downforce, but if you've got that talent, you are going to be able to absolutely keep that car on its limits. And again, Chris Byram drops off down the Kemmel, but he gains so much through the middle sector that it almost doesn't matter that he's sitting behind. And I'm wondering whether or not if Chris is actually going to be able to make that move stick, and once he finally gets past Alex, whether or not he can run away in the middle sector, because he kind of needs to do it early. Like, he needs to do it here, into Purcell. If he can do it here, and then through Speaker's Corner have a really good run, as he's just not able to really just get on the power early enough. It's one of those things that you want to get it done before Speaker's Corner, because then through Puon, he knows he's so much faster that it's just not going to make a difference.
Yeah, but even if you do, right, he gets getting murdered on the straights with a straight line speed, so he can't gain that much of an advantage to get by. He's going to try on the outside here again. He's going to lift off, actually, because he knows, I think he might know right now, that even if he gets the overtake done here, he gets overtaken again with the straight line speed, but once again, Alex will come back at him thick and fast. Now, that's what I mean. I want to ask you about that, because you mentioned about push to passes and stuff like that. What other tools do they have at their disposal here to try to do something about this?
It is literally just DRS. So the only thing we have is we have DRS. We've got 8 uses of it over the course of the race, but it looks as though Alex Gutneck doesn't even need the DRS, and he's still able to make the moves. You can see from the lower wing flap, actually, you'll see that close up in these F2 cars, very different from how it works in F1, where the rear wing will actually open up and cause a massive pocket of air that just really allows you to slice through. This car stalls the air at the back instead, and it works very differently because it gives you less drag, but you still have a bit more downforce, so you're still able to make those last minute moves pretty easily.
Seth has crashed real quick there. I don't think he'll highlight that one, but Seth was running about midfield and has been somewhere. Because we're not going to miss too much of a change, of course, between the front two gladiators, because they've been going at it, and they will be going at it, obviously, for a long time. I'm not sure you get a replay of the incident.
I don't think Seth had a crash. I think he's just pitting now. So
yeah, my apologies about that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's boxing.
Interesting.
He's out
what lap
now
times? The leaders 203.4s, 203.1s. Let's say for Carlos, not enough. But it's close. But look at Frederick right now. Frederick is putting some pressure on big time on Lewis. That's P3, P4. Has he got the job done? Maybe.
Both of them seem to be running Again, it's those differences in package. Frederick opting for that higher downforce, Lewis opting for the lower downforce, but managed to make the move before Speakers, and now I'm sure we'll see Frederick Larson run away from it. He's going to have the run through Puon, because he's running that higher downforce, he can carry so much more speed through. And
he's pit stop done too, mate, so he's only got fresh boots there and a splash of fuel, but that's it. So he's the only man currently in the top 4 that has made that pit stop.
Yeah, Carlos Catao is obviously the next one who has made their pit stop, so potentially Carlos is trying to do the same thing as Frederick, but is also running that higher downforce, so maybe not be able to do it this lap, potentially looking at next lap. But I also want to look behind, because Lewis Archer, that man is on a mission right now, all the way on the back of Cesar Cabral, and again, Cesar leading the championship right now. Lewis Archer doing the same thing. Both of them with DRS closed. So both of them using DRS here, and going into Blanchimont, we're going to see whether or not either of them opt to open the DRS to maybe just to make the move a little bit easier. I think Lewis may have popped that open slightly early just to make sure that he didn't have any incidents. Cesar opting to keep it firmly shut and having to go wide there to avoid potential spins, as Alex Gutneck does finally blink first between Chris Byram's in that Alex Goodneck battle. But Lewis Archer, once again, looking around the outside of turn number 1 on Cesar Cabral. Battle for the championship. This is going to also be, as it looks like Cesar slowed down a little bit there, and Stathis wasn't expecting it. Lewis having to slow down a bit more than Stathis would have liked. I'm not sure whether or not Stathis' pit. Yeah, Stathis pit on lap 1, so I think that Stathis may not be able to make a move.
Side by side, going off track limits maybe for a warning, but there we go into Lacombe. Now, on the racing line, obviously, is the blue car to the left that you could see, but on the very outside of the racing line, don't count out Straffus there here. He could turn this into a 3-for-1 special. Compromising the speed as it goes through Lacombe. Wow, great racing.
Yeah,
what'd you sign me up for? This is fun.
Yeah, I mean, this is the racing every single week, mate. This is what we do every single week here in iFormula League. This F2 grid, by far the best racing we have all week long.
Don't tell Vanzi out there in the F1. Here we go. Are you going to make a run through Pool 1? The Pool 1 special? Oh. Is he going to get it? He doesn't. It's actually covered off. This is the first time we've seen great wheel-to-wheel action through Pool 1 like this.
Honestly, this is absolutely insane. Lewis Archer's trying to do everything he can. He's trying to throw everything he can at Cesar Cabral. He finally gets the move done, but he has to throw the kitchen sink at him to do it. And Cesar Cabral's now going to sit behind. And is he going to be able to follow through? He's lost a bit of speed now, and Stathis might be able to make a move on Cesar Cabral potentially. We're going to see whether or not DRS is used between either of those drivers. Once again, you only have 8 uses, so if they use them up this early, well, it's gone for the rest of the race, as Chris Byram does finally come into the pit lane from first position, which will promote Lewis Colon, and that's Cesar Cabral.
He's lost it. Wow, that doesn't look like that was a really unusual place, and that's Cesar, man, the championship leader at the moment. Big trouble.
I want to say that was potentially with a DRS problem. And Alex Goodneck's going to try and look up the inside, after having pitted, I should say. So yeah, I think Cesar Cabral was using DRS and just turned too much through Blanchimont and just lost the rear of the car. He did a similar sort of thing in Brazil out of the final corner at Interlagos. He had the DRS open, had to swerve to avoid a car, and ended up just getting launched airborne after collision. So DRS is not his friend right now, as we're going to see side-by-side action here through Eau Rouge and Radion between Chris Byram.
Oh, they left the lead of the left, of course. Oh, oof.
It was close.
Yeah, come on, guys. You read the memos. You do not go side by side through Rouge. He's losing the speed big time as well, too. So once again, we're seeing the low versus high downforce, which means it's going to be a lot better through the corners.
But one person that's impressing me right now is actually Stathis, able to keep up with arguably one of the faster guys we have in the league right now, Lewis Archer, and able to do a pretty good job of just sitting there behind him and trying to make any move he can work. I mean, Lewis still does seem to have that speed, that extra little bit of grunt, and is able to just manage to get the most out of that car. Obviously, he's done a lot of work with it, we imagine. Being up near the championship fight, you want to do it, right? You want to make sure that you have the car is absolutely prepped to give you the maximum that you can give out of it as a driver, and he's proving it right now, able to currently set a nice little gap between Stathis. But again, Stathis new to the league, and already he's not that far off.
Have you ever tasted Greek food, my friend?
No, I have not.
It's amazing. So, yeah, have you ever seen a Greek driver? Yes, you are. You're watching a Greek driver, so there it is. Great food equals great driving. From Stathis. And I can't pronounce his
that's
surname.
A big
that's
quote,
typical a Greek surname, and that's a great one. Trust me. Hey, I visited Melbourne a lot. There's a ton of great. That's why I go all the great Greek restaurants.
But here we go, battling between Easton and Chris Byram through the bus stop, by the way, side by side. That was very sketchy. Almost a little bit of wheel banging there between the two of them. But Chris managing to get a nice run out of the corner and able to hold his position. But Ice-Team running that lower downforce package, and we know what happens with the lower downforce package going through Eau Rouge and Radion. We've seen it so many times before. We saw it with Ice-Team battling with Archer. We're probably going to see it again with Ice-Team battling with Chris. Ice-Team's going to be able to get onto the back and able to just make that move stick. Absolutely. I mean, look at the straight line speed difference. It's insane.
Yeah. I wonder if you have the butt kicker installed in your seat right now, and you do go on those on the chicanes, it goes, you know, or even wheel-to-wheel contact. That butt kicker will butt kick you, of course. It's great. It's iRacing, of course. And this is the iFormula League F2 Round 8. You can't separate. Hey, this is 10 times more exciting than real F1. Don't tell them that, but...
Obviously, no, we don't want to mention anything like that. No. Look,
I mean, the F1's exciting at the start and the end, and it's boring in the middle.
Yeah.
So why don't you just tune into our racing during the middle and then go back? Don't go back. This is gonna be fun from the start to the end. And we're what? Just over halfway. Almost about. Yeah.
I think we are. Yeah, just about halfway now. We're looking at almost a 30-lap race, 29 laps. You can see it on the top of your screen. We're 18 laps through, over halfway. Chris Byram still trying to battle with Eystein, and again, that cornering speed difference really helping Chris Byram to close the gap. But again, as we've seen before, Chris Byram having the same problem he had with Alex Gutnecht, not able to do anything on the straights. Eystein doesn't even need to use DRS and he's able to make moves. And I believe we're seeing now a move into the bus stop between Frederick and Carlos. Was that Carlos making the move on Frederick there, or was that Frederick trying to make the move on Carlos? I didn't quite see.
I think it was Frederick on Carlos, if I'm not mistaken.
So if potentially that was... Yeah, I mean, that could have been Carlos making a very impressive defense then, if Frederick was trying to get his way up the inside. And now the gap has been extended a little bit, but both of them running similar downforce packages, so maybe we'll actually finally see what the slipstream is truly like here at Spa. Down the Camel Straight, how much does Frederick want to push that car? Does he want to try and send the late move up the inside line? And behind them, we do see in the background Lewis Archer and Stathis as well. So Stathis is being pulled along by Lewis quite nicely. And again, that's going to mean if Stathis can go all the way to the end, he pit on lap 1. Again, I don't think he can make it, but if he can, we're maybe seeing Stathis put himself up there as Frederick Larson goes up the inside of Carlos Catao. And Frederick Larson, I mentioned it before, has done incredibly well as a stand-in every single race that he's been in this F2, and again proving why he is one of the better drivers here in this league, in the F3, in the F2. Doesn't matter what car you put him in, he's going to perform, and perform he does. Carlos Catao getting absolutely whitewashed there up the inside. And now that gap's going to start extending through Puon, but both drivers running similar downforce, so I was expecting maybe to see Carlos do something about it, but unfortunately, nothing doing.
And yeah, Frederick, the man that started on pole, of course, just the Danish... I don't have a pun for Danish drivers at the moment, but he's going to put massive pressure right now on our race leader of Lewis, who's still yet to box. So has Lewis stayed out too long?
You've got to think it now, right? Like, Lewis Colon's laps are doing really well right now. He's among the quickest driving right now, aside from maybe Lewis Archer, who we're on board with, as we see Carlos Catao trying to make a move up into the bus stop, but did think about it. And just as you say, pitting, Lewis Colon does indeed come into the pits, and that's going to put him quite a way down the order. I imagine maybe even out behind Alex Gutnecht and Cesar Cabral and into that sort of battle. So we'll have to wait and see where he comes out. And looking like the pit lane time, we're looking at about losing 25 seconds or so. Which seems to be a common theme for this car around any sort of circuit, and seems to be an average sort of pit lane loss time. So yeah,
he lost it to Chris. Remember, he was battling with Chris tooth and nail, and Chris is now P6, and now Lewis, still in the pit lane, is in P9. Whether he's going to get out ahead of Seth Davison in P10, I think he might just get out in time, but there it is. So but yeah,
we do have a battle here for the lead as well. Carlos Catao and Frederick Larson. Carlos with the DRS assistance and also straight line assistance, managing to help himself hold on, but behind them, Lewis Archer, the man who is looking to maybe lead the championship, lead the league even, and if he can, all he has to do is finish ahead of Cesar Cabral by 2 points. So if he can finish where he is right now, he's done that. But as a driver, you want to finish more. You are in P3 and you can see P2 and P1. You're aiming for the victory in this race. You're not aiming for P3. You want to improve. We've got 9 more laps to go. Lewis Archer's going to try everything he can on Frederick Larson. And around the outside again, Frederick is going to have to try and defend the best he can. But Lewis doing an amazing job at attacking and making moves that just make sense.
When's the last time you heard a British driver called Lewis tried the best that he possibly can? You could be call him Sir Lewis Archer soon if he keeps this up. But
again, on the back straight before Blanchimont, again, it's that slipstream. Now that we've got all the cars running high downforce very close together, as it looked like Lewis was trying to make a very aggressive sweep to the outside as Frederick tried to cover him off, and into the bus stop we go. Frederick Larson having to be very careful on the throttle to not spin the car, and is going to get in a really good run on the exit. Having that outside line means you can get on the power really, really nicely, and nicely he did, up the inside line with absolutely nowhere to go. Lewis Archer having to take the really wide line, and I believe he locked up even into the corner, and that's going to allow Frederick through. Potentially, though, it was a smart move by Lewis, because now he's got that slipstream going into going down the Camel Straight, and if he can keep flat through Eau Rouge and Radion as he tries to do, he's going to try and go up the inside of Frederick Larson before they even get to the corner. There's going to be no help from Lewis here, and I believe Frederick Larson is also using a DRS to help defend. You can use it to defend and you can use it to attack here. A lot different from F1, where it's only available to the car behind you. Here in this F2, you can use it whenever you want. You just have to make sure you use all 8 by the end of the race.
I think he's going to turn around Brussels. He's going to just sit back there, different racing line, of course, but he's going to line him at the good exit. And I think he's going to be thinking about the Pujon special.
We know it's Lewis's move.
Yeah, oh, it might be a little bit too far back, but let's see. That's going to be risking it. No, he's going to have to climb up the hill here and just follow him through. Good defense there, obviously, from Frederick. But there you can see Frederick going to lose a little bit of speed as they climb their way up there through turn 16. And now will be straight line speed as you climb your way down to 17 to the fastest part of the track through Blackmont. See the traffic just up ahead. That's not the traffic up ahead. Of course, that's Carlos is leading the race. Let's see the speed coming down that 4th gear. 5th gear should be in a second. Yeah, it's to lift off a little bit. There it is. Look at that straight line speed. Can he think about this into the bus stop chicane or even before?
And he's going to try and go around the outside here of Blanchimont, able to maybe make that move stick going into the bus stop. He held it around the outside for the first time, and now he's going to have to defend on the inside. Cuts across nicely, made sure that there was plenty of room for Frederick to maybe make some moves. Obviously, Frederick not able to do anything to defend after that slipstream, but what this means is now Frederick has the slipstream going into Eau Rouge and Radion as we jump on board with Frederick, and we're going to see whether or not Lewis maybe tries to just weave his way out of that slipstream going into Eau Rouge Radion. How close is Frederick wanting to follow? Is he going to be able to follow him all the way through? Both drivers flat out riding the curbs as much as they can, cutting the track as much as they can, because you want to make sure you've got that shortest run. And here we go, Frederick Larson once again trying to make the move on Lewis Archer and makes it stick before the corner. Again, we're seeing now 2 drivers, very similar pace through the corners, but now this is where we're seeing the slipstream come into effect, and this is where we see the slipstream really making the difference for the driver behind.
Yeah, Tony out there, welcome in the chat. Well, Larson and Carlos first. Carlos is now actually gaining a little bit of time here as they're battling it out, Frederick and Lewis that you're watching. So this is helping Carlos just getting a little bit more up the road there and help him see championship hopes of running in P4 at the moment, the Portuguese driver. But yeah, this is great battling. This is really the battle for P2 at the moment between Frederick and Lewis. That's going to be the key, because the lap counter is clicking over 22 or 29 right now. Pit stops are done, so this is it. Sprint race to the end. Who wants it?
At the moment, looking like Lewis Archer wants it. He wants that position back from Frederick Larson, and with the slipstream going into Blanchimont, we're going to go on board with Lewis Archer. Is he going to be able to make the move before Blanchimont? We're going to see. He's looking like he almost lifted, actually. He's not going to try and make a move around the outside of Blanchimont, and instead, he's just going to set the move up into the bus stop, or hold off and again make the move on around the outside of the bus stop, and then through Eau Rouge and Radion. It's looking like he maybe is just trying to avoid Frederick having as many opportunities as he can, or he's trying to say to Larson, hey look, if you want this, as Larson sets the fastest lap of the race, by the way, 202.840, what that means is Larson's also going to gain a nice little bonus point for fastest lap. We also have a bonus point on offer for safest driver, so we're not going to know who gets that necessarily straight off the bat. iRacing won't give us the official X count, but regardless, we're wanting to see who gets these 18 points out of the possible 18 on show for finishing in P2. And Lewis being very aggressive there, making sure that Frederick had absolutely nowhere to go. And Frederick almost overdrove that corner a little bit, tries to dive in really deep, really aggressive, when Lewis was also doing the same thing. And Stathis, what this has meant is Stathis can really keep on to the back of him. Those two are battling in front. Stathis is using this as an absolutely amazing opportunity to maybe pick up a couple points and upset some of the bigger names, the likes of Chris Byram, Caesar Cabral.
On 25 of 29, yeah, Volstaffers just sit back there, see if there's anything going to happen. A little bit of a tangle between those two gladiators, and you can mop up the rewards, of course. Clean up on aisle 2 or aisle 3. Get that one. Carlos is now maybe starting to drop off the pace a little bit because they are starting to catch. So that's going to be interesting for our Portuguese driver. He's got to basically think about trying to manage something at the moment because they're shaving a little bit of time out of him. And if they continue at this rate, they're going to be on the back of him. So this is going to be turning into a 4-horse race for the race win.
Yeah, and one thing to note as well, by the way, Biggles, we know you're new around here. Carlos Catao has yet to win a race here in this championship. He's always managed to finish somewhere high up, like at least in the top 5 every race. Or at least most of the races. I believe he had a DNF at one point. But as Lewis Archer, I believe, made a mistake there and has to take, I believe, the escape road and avoid picking up a penalty, potentially might have picked up a slowdown, and that's going to mean that Stathis might be able to get a move up the inside, but nothing doing. And as I mentioned...
Ooh, they both go wide up the road there. Yeah, that looks like... Did Frederick go wide? Yep, Lewis can make an opportunity, and definitely Stathis is going to have to seize this one right now. He knows time's not on his side. So be patient. Wait for these drivers up the road to make mistakes. And then pounce.
Which is exactly what Lewis did, and that's exactly what Stathis is looking to do. Unless Stathis also picks up a penalty here, both of them now using any advantage they can with the slipstream, and Lewis is going to look to maybe make a move around the outside of Frederick Larsen. I believe that was the move done very quickly into that corner. It was almost like he gets to the apex and all of a sudden Frederick is just gone completely in Lewis's mirror. Frederick couldn't do anything to defend.
And Ali, mate, guess what's happening too? Now, give Carlos a bit of a breathing road because that battle's actually cost them a little bit of time. Carlos got a bit of a lap on that one. But look at Chris in the background, slowly catching this pack. So we could have now Carlos being safe, but then again, Chris could be in this party with Lewis, Frederick, and Stathis anytime soon.
And if he can do that, again, we know Chris is very much in this championship fight, and he's going to want any points that he can get. If he sees any sort of weakness from Stathis, Frederick, or Lewis, he's going to want to get that position as much as he can. Only 5 laps to go, obviously. And if he can get that momentum, if he can get onto the back, then maybe we see moves. Everyone in the top 5, by the way, running high downforce.
That's going to be interesting to see what we get take done. I think he's almost joined the party. So they're approaching the bus stop now to be getting ready to start lap 25 out of 29. So gotta start thinking about your moves right now. Start using any of the devices and any of the DRS abilities that you have, if you have any available
Lewis
left,
is pinning,
of course.
I think. Or may have had an issue. Nope, he's back. No, that was just a network issue, I think.
Yeah. And that's almost caught there. Chris is almost caught, but this is going to be where they all start to catch each other, a little bunch up a little bit. Thank you very much for the camel straight. Butt kicker gives you all the kicking in the butt right now. You can feel the vibrations of these Formula Renaults.
I'm just glad we don't have the new F1 cars with the porpoising. The butt kicker would be giving you a real good workout.
Oh, yeah. That would be fun. Up the road here. We'll be looking at an overtake.
Frederick Larsen makes that move done, even before the corner. So, lovely job from him. And again, Lewis is now having to sit back in P3. And I'm sure Lewis right now is sitting here and going, as much as I'd love to be battling with Carlos Catao for the win, this battle is also super fun right now. I'm enjoying every single moment of this. As frustrating as it may be that you can't seem to shake Frederick. And again, I think Carlos Catao may have had a mistake, or at least isn't pushing as hard, because he's even closer now to Lewis and Frederick than he was last lap. It was like a 2-second gap, and now it's 1.7.
Keep it up for Chris, mate. He's caught Stathis. Chris is thinking about this right now. And we saw Chris was slowly catching that pack. The Lewis has set the fastest lap a little bit earlier, 2:02.5, as they're actually on burning all the fuel left. But yeah, this is going to be super, super close. And you know what Chris wants this, doesn't he? He definitely wants it.
Up the inside, Chris Byram on Stathis, and Chris does get that move done before the bus stop, and very important that he does so, because I believe Chris is slightly quicker than Stathis, so, and he's proven it, obviously having caught him with basically no slipstream at all to show for, and he's already made the move done. The first sniff he got of any sort of weakness from Stathis, and he pounced. He managed to get that move done, and now he's going to be trying to aim on the back of Lewis Archer, and if he can make that move work, again, that's going to spice things up in that championship fight. Remember, it was very close between the top three, and Cesar Cabral, unfortunately, not having the weekend he wanted, and that's going to mean that anybody who finishes ahead of him, the likes of Lewis Archer, Frederick Larson currently battling. Lewis, very defensive. I thought he was going on the grass there for a moment. Frederick trying everything he can. Going up the inside here. Oh, so close. The front wing almost taking off Lewis's tire there. And that's another thing as well. I'm worried that we're going to see a crash between these two if they keep battling this hard.
Don't you say that. There's going to be no crashes right now. It's been a nice, clean race for the majority of it. Let's not jinx it. Called commentating cursing. Don't do it. Don't do it.
But we want to see it.
I'm not going to allow it. I will refuse it. And Chris, of course, that's what they are. I mean, you got Frederick in the mix there, and Carlos. I think Carlos could win this one if he can hold off. It's a battle for P2, P3, and perhaps P4. That is where the key is, and crucial for the championship, as you mentioned. Caesar a little bit further down the field there in P7.
Yeah, and obviously, as we say, Caesar not having the result that he wanted means that the likes of Lewis Archer and Chris Byram are now going to take a bit of a healthier lead on the championship, and we may even see the biggest gap in the championship that we've seen in a long time, thanks to Cesar Cabral. And basically all of these races being incredibly unpredictable. Every single week I come in here going, oh no, I kind of know who's going to be battling up the top. It's going to be like Chris Byram, Lewis Archer, Carlos Catal, maybe Cesar Cabral's up there as well. You know, he's leading the championship. He's definitely going to be up there. And then every single week I'm surprised if like a new name or a new face or someone comes in and it's just like, oh hey, by the way, I'm here. I'm competing in your top 5. At the moment, Stathis is the one doing that. And Chris Byram just sets the new fastest lap of the race with a 2:02.2. And so he is very much pushing as much as he can to try and catch the back of Lewis Archer and Frederick Larson. And if they keep battling, Chris Byram is going to get involved for that battle of P2. And if he could do that, I mean, I just want to get him some popcorn and watch.
Oh, yeah, overtake up there at the road. They could actually, yeah, it could be a $1 short because he's got to push everything at the moment, but he's running out of time. 27 and 29. There's the battle up ahead. P2 of Lewis and Frederick. We've seen this before. It's going to continue. Carlos is probably going to have a bit of a sigh of relief knowing a couple more laps and he get his first race victory. And Chris is going to be hoping that these guys do something a little bit slow to bring him in the mix. Time is not on his side. Who wants the podium? That podium, second, third, is up for grabs. Just get it. Just reach out and grab it. It's not that hard, is it?
I mean, you make it sound like that, but Lewis and Frederick, if anything is to be shown, it's that those two are fighting over P2 as if they're fighting for the last ice cream in the ice cream shop, right? Like, they're fighting over every last bit that they can get.
Vanilla or chocolate or, yeah, no, you're right.
It doesn't matter, they want it.
Yeah,
but
it's going to be good. Don't go anywhere. If you guys have gone anywhere right now, you have no love for motor racing because this is going to be spicy.
But look at how Chris Byram has now managed to catch up to the back of Frederick Larson. And this is going to mean that Chris Byram is going to be able to get involved in this fight. There's hardly any laps left of this race, and Chris Byram has managed to catch up. And not only that, he pits super late in comparison to everyone else ahead of him. Like, he pit on lap 16 in comparison to Lewis Archer's lap 11. And
so
then
he might have a little bit more traction, right? And now, he's burnt everything. He's the fastest man on track, but at the moment, as once again, we're on the penultimate lap. So he's got to try something here. He's got to really risk it now. This is Chris, of course. That's third in the championship. Up the road is Lewis in P2. Frederick is, well, a little bit down than Caesar, as we know. He's not in this. It could be making a run through a Rouge. He's on the power. He's going to go side by side. This could be the moment of moments. And for Chris to get a podium, can he get it done? Can he make it stick?
And I believe he has down the Camel Straight. Chris Byram takes that third position, and what that means now is Frederick Larsen starting to drop off. Is he going to be able to fight back? Obviously, this section, you kind of have to just follow through until the likes of Pouon. We've seen that Pouon special from Lewis Archer. Frederick Larsen came foul to it a couple times. Did Frederick learn anything from it? And can he use it to set up the move against Chris Byram? Is he going to be close enough? It doesn't look like he is. And again, what this means is Chris Byram's now going to try and look for any sort of pace that he can to make a move on Lewis Archer. Through Pouon, though, it looks like Lewis gets an amazing run in comparison to everyone else. And look at who's a little bit further up the road, by the way. Carlos Quetal has dropped massively, and so there may be a last lap battle for the lead if Carlos Quetal isn't careful. If Carlos Quetal makes one mistake, by the way, he could drop from 1st to 5th.
Don't take it away. Don't take it away from the Portuguese driver. He wants to get his first race win, of course. It'd be great. But I tell you what, it's the British battle, isn't it? Between Lewis and Chris, because there's 2 points to separate them. And I guarantee you right now, Chris does not care. He's like, shut up to his engineers. Even though it's been ultimate lap, he wants to get
that's
Lewis.
Frederick Larsen spinning in the background. He lost it through Blanchimont. Massive collision.
Oh, the Danish driver that qualified on P1. Put that car right where it needed to be. Now is slipping back, but that's well, that's something else to think about. What's going to happen?
White flag.
We are
final
almost
lap.
in the final lap. Yes. Well, I don't know. We should go to a commercial break. No.
Yeah. No, it's time, isn't it? We've got to talk to all of our sponsors and
sponsored by ice cream. Sit back, relax. What do you like,
it's just.
anyway?
But unfortunately for Frederick, though, that is very disheartening for him to be so close to doing a really, really good drive, you know. He had an issue at the start, and then to lose it like that through Blanchimont, again, I think it was with that DRS. I've mentioned it before, but that DRS really does affect your grip. Like, you may think that, oh, you know, it's just the rear wing closing up, right? Like, the rear wing is still there. It's not like the rear wing's completely open. So I should still have a level of grip, right? So you turn in, all of a sudden you're finding your back end's coming around. Because the airflow, yes, it's there, but it's stalled. Like, it's not going anywhere. It's not running very hot. Your car's not got that same level of grip that you normally would have. But
you're right. Exactly.
1 second
But
gap, less
he
than
has
a
the
1
pace,
second
obviously.
gap.
He said. So at the moment, Carlos should be able to hold off, but I want to see if Chris can do a miracle right now to take it to Lewis Archer that's in P2. And I don't think Lewis Archer can do anything about Carlos. It's going to be, hold on tight and see if they're going to be risking it into the bus stop chicane. You don't want to do that, guys, right now on the last lap. There's no worth a dive bomb.
Time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a long, so we're halfway through the series. You don't want to be DNFing on the last corner on the last lap. So if on car gap, take it, but don't risk it. Well, that's the same thing, isn't it?
This is going to be where we're gonna finish unless Lewis Archer can make a move here into the bus stop chicane. We're gonna go on board with Lewis Archer and Carlos Quetal. Is Carlos Quetal gonna be able to hold it off for his first win here in the IFL for season 3, coming home at Spa? Lewis Archer gets a really good run. Is he able to keep the position? Carlos Quetal does come home, does win here in the IFL. Chris Byram with the fastest lap right at the end, and that's Carlos Quetal having an absolutely amazing time doing donuts there right at the end. He finally gets his maiden win, his first win here in the IFL, and what a time it is for Carlos. He's been runner-up so many times, but he's managed to finally get the result he's been looking for. Lewis Archer finishing in P2 and Chris Byram finishing here in P3. What a race, Biggles.
I know, and if we were to hear Carlos's radio right now, it would be, yes! Yes! I won that! Spa is mine! Good on him. We'll hear from him, hopefully, of course. But good on you, Carlos. It feels good, that first race win. Halfway through the season, not always been there, but he's 4th in the championship, hurled more points. There you go, Portugal. Portuguese, I'll tell you what, Portuguese tappers are brilliant. And, well, he loves Spa. We love Spa, and we love Carlos.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, that race, that was something else. That was absolutely something else. These drivers every week just put on a massive show for us here, and every single time I'm left speechless at the action we see on track. Every single time I look at this and I'm like, surely these guys can't up that next week. Surely they can't. Like, last race was so action packed and so good. Surely they're not going to do it again, right? And every single week it's the same thing. Every single week it's, oh no, we're just going to battle every single lap until the very end. And then, even at the very end, you're still not going to know who's going to finish in front. It's absolutely crazy.
Are you teasing me to wait? Because we have a lot of great tracks coming up as well, too, my friend. And on top of it, you wait until it gets spicy towards the end of the championship, where we're going to eventually end in, I'm just trying to look at the racetrack, in Silverstone, of course. So, wow. That's a track you want to be signing up for. Get your tickets early.
Yeah,
There's your
absolutely.
final results.
Yeah, so we've got the race results up. Carlos Cattal does indeed take that win from Lewis Archer, and then Chris Byram taking P3. Stathis and Easton, two new names to the championship, picking up P4 and P5. Amazing result from them. Cesar Cabral taking home P6. Disappointing result, but one that I think he's not going to be necessarily beating himself up over. He knew he wasn't going to be up there at the front at Spa. He did mention it before, so it's nice to see him at least being able to keep up with the P6. Alex Gutnet there in P7, Lewis Colon P8, Seth Davidson in P9, Zach Pimenta there in P10, and then Daniel Thomas in P11, Frederick Larson P12 after unfortunately having that incident right at the end there through Blanchimont. That's not where he wanted to be. Alexander Carver-Robin in 13th, Zachary Maxon in 14th, and then Ivan Bovkamp with that unfortunate incident through Eau Rouge and Radion rounding up P15. But we're going to get in some interviews here with Carlos Cattal, our race winner. And you know what, Biggles, you're new here. Yes. I'll let you take the lead on this one.
I am a noob. Yeah, we'll get them in for a second. I had a little bit from race control that Ivan had to rejoin the race after something reset him. So a little bit of issues there for Ivan, which might have been very much the reason why I didn't have the day of all days for the Dutch driver. But yeah, for sure. We'll talk to the gladiators. So who would you like to bring in, my friend? And I will scrutineer them.
Let's bring in the man of the hour, Carlos Cattal, for his first win here in the IFL.
All right, Carlos, I'm going to bring you in here. I know you're not Spanish, but you're close to the border. If you are Portuguese, of course, I have to say, being Carlos, smooth operator. Was that? How does it feel? First race win and the driver's track of all tracks. Spa.
Oh. Smooth operator is all I can say, man. Mega race, man. I was looking at Lewis behind me, just sometimes doing a second quicker than me on the same lap. But I had literally the middleman there, Frederick Larson. I mean, mega thanks to him for defending so well on, 1 billion lap old tires or something like that. I think he stopped under the safety car, so lap 3 or 4. I don't know how he had the tires to defend from that. I think he actually crashed because he had no tires left. So, man, mega job from him. Yeah, that's all I can say, really.
Well, Carlos, and once again, I know you're speechless because it's your first race win for the season, and this could be it's halfway through the season, of course, and you are just 4th in the championship and a hurl of points, so you can definitely win the championship. A good boost, motivation. Towards the end there, you were dropping a little bit and increasing, and it had 2 fiery Brits, of course, of Lewis and Chris behind you. But at the end of the day, you held off. You kept it cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mate, this race was yours, and obviously 2 from qualifying in P2.
Yeah. And then I had kind of, I think I got held up by Freddie there because, obviously he was on the inside, less grip there, and also not as wide a track as he won. So I think it went a bit wide, and then I got held up because I couldn't turn into turn 1. And then Lewis got past us, and I was like, oh, fuck, man. Now he's going to run away with it. Sorry for swearing, by the way. Yeah, but I thought he was just going to run away with it. But then safety car, we had just gone past the pit lane. I was actually thinking, man, if I pit now and there's a safety car, I can run to the end. And then I don't know why, but Lewis just decided not to stop when the pit lane eventually opened. So, it's strategy playing a role here.
That's his downfall and your gainfall, of course.
Yep.
So, Carlos, how do you pronounce your surname, of course, because my Portuguese isn't that very good?
It's okay. It's very common for people to ask that. So it's Couton. It's a
Okay.
nasally sign, sort of like that. So you're
Alright.
fine. Just saying it the usual.
No, I mean Carlos is easy for me, but
Yeah.
hey, guess what? P1 is even easier,
Yep.
isn't it? So the
That's-
22 car there, my friend, congratulations. That feels good. Go
Yeah.
celebrate with
Oh,
your
for
team.
sure.
And
I'm
hey,
gonna open a bottle of champagne for all my teammates today.
nice. Hey, don't worry about it because the iFormula League will fit the bill for that one.
Oh,
So,
okay.
it's all good,
Okay,
mate.
okay. I'll talk to the admins
Congratulations.
then. Thank you, man.
Looking forward to seeing you in the next race.
Yeah, me too. See you.
Well, we've heard from Carlos Quital. Let's hear from the driver who finished second place, Lewis Archer. Only 5/10 off at the end as well. So, we saw amazing drive from him, defending, making that famous P1 move, as it's going to be called now. And we'll get him in here.
Yeah, we have to coin it. Well, Lewis, you now coined the famous Pujon maneuvers of maneuvers that we haven't really seen before in racing, but you proved it today. You got the P2 charging there to keep fiery Chris behind you, but congratulations, mate. This is even more points for you, and now I believe you'll be leading the championship.
Oh, yes! Sorry. Oh my
He's
God.
excited. I like it.
I've never driven that hard, ever in my life have I ever driven as hard as I drove today. Oh, God. No,
Well, yeah. Go ahead, mate. I know you're ecstatic, but it's fine. Now you're covered in champagne.
Sorry, it was so much effort. Like, at the start of the race, I was debating a two-stop, which had also never been done before, but I was doing testing through the week and things like that, and we are getting given quite some quite hot sessions there. And obviously when we came in the session, it was 35C, and I thought that bodes towards the tire deg and the two-stop, and then I was convinced that was the way I was going to go. And then by the time we actually got to the race, it was like 29, and I was like, times are good and tire degs, but I have to convert to a one-stop mid-race. So it wasn't, for me, it was actually plan B. So I just felt like I was in a bit of in that sticky bit in the middle of the race. I just kept fighting like mad. I didn't really know who I was fighting or what position I was really supposed to be in net or anything like that. I just kept going. I wasn't even looking at the names of who I was racing. I was just going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Matt. Well, it was obviously Lewis versus machine versus track, and you did it. Sorry, go ahead, Elisa. I think you had to ask a question.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. Obviously, we saw you absolutely had a couple of moves that you were really looking forward to every single time through Puon. I believe it was on Frederick Larson, and then later on throughout the race as well. That move around the outside of Puon. What was going through your head when you were making that? Because that was incredible.
The unbelievable grip my car was giving me. Literally, like the sensation of that is like, the thing is, you got to keep like, it's not just it's an educated thing that, like, I had to work out who had the wing around me and who didn't have the wing. And you could see there was one time, I think it might have been Larson. He was one of the guys that was running high wing, same as I was. So him around the outside, that didn't work because he got too much grip. But as soon as they've got the medium or low wing offering, they've got a break in that corner and you don't. But you've got to keep that so much space. Yeah, so a lot of faith in my competitors today. But no, I just want to say, like, genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, Carlos, it's his day today. Like, I know I've done some crazy stuff, but I'm so happy that he got his first win today. Like, I really, 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 really tried to not let him do that. And a couple of meters over the last.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was really close towards the end, but Carlos ended up defending that position, coming out on top, and yourself in P2. As I say, leading the championship now, so it's going to be an absolutely amazing stuff from you. And is there anyone else that you'd like to give a shout out to? Anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, my whole team, genuinely. I've got a lot of drivers that sit and watch these races, a lot of drivers that look up to me and for guidance. And each week I jump into the F3 car and I help those guys, I help them set up, and then we do rounds and laps and guides and things, and we look over on Google Earth and we assess the corner shapes and things like that. We go to town.
Wow, really?
Yeah, we go
You
to
laser scan it from Google Earth. I like this.
Yeah, because sometimes, like, especially at places like Barcelona and things like that, you may think or perceive a corner to be a certain way, and then when you look at it from the aerial, you'll go, hold on a minute. Do you know what? That's actually not quite the shape that
Lewis, don't give your secrets away to the other drivers.
Oh, man, honestly, this is
It sounds like it's a great secret. Keep it.
yeah. If I was a professional driver, like, genuinely, I've had this as well. Like, if I was a professional race driver, then yeah, maybe I'd have a little black book in the back of my pocket, and I wouldn't want to give it out to anyone. But we're sim racing. Do you know what I mean? It's all for the fun. Like I had the most fun today. Like I had more fun today coming P2 than I did breezing at Hungary.
Lewis, it sounded to me like you just won the race. You're telling me like you won the championship today. You are hyped. I love it.
Yeah, and that's it. And that's for a P2. Do you know that it's just it's about the race. Like I'm in it for the side by side action, and damn, today was absolutely full of it.
Well, if you're not signed up to the iFormula League right now, if you are watching out there, then I don't know what you're doing because, I mean, I'm not even a driver, but I want to click the subscribe button and be a part of this community for sure. But yeah, Lewis, mate, I'm absolutely stoked that you're stoked. Good on you. I mean, Caesar's Day wasn't of all days, but, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day. And we all know that that was a Caesar reference, not to the Brazilian Caesar, of course. But yeah, Lewis, mate, let you celebrate. Fantastic. The P2 to you felt like a P1. Here you are now leading the championship. So good on you, mate. And you're leading the Brit too. We're going to talk to the second Brit at the moment. It was trying to bring it to you right towards the end of Chris.
My old teammate.
Yeah, a little bit of information there that he was battling. Chris and Lewis used to be teammates as well, so nice to see them back on track together. But we'll bring him in here, Chris Barham, for our final interview for the day before we end off for the rest of the evening. But let's bring Chris in here. Finished P3, 1.1 seconds behind Carlos in the end.
Christopher, mate, last charge. Quickest man on track towards the end there. Just couldn't quite get Lewis, but you got the Greek drive there, Staphis there. Mate, how was you? Are you as ecstatic as everybody else has been here this evening at Spa?
Oh, mate, it was absolutely incredible race. It was tough work against the low downforce cars. I wasn't expecting a podium. I was in a right. I was practicing this week and it weren't going too bad. And then I'll admit it, I drank a little bit too much. I had a bottle and a half of wine. And then
Heineken 0.00 for the sponsors. Yeah, go ahead.
Yep. And I was just off the pace massively. And I was aiming to go with the low downforce setup and I just couldn't get it to work. And then I did the whole hour practice with that. First 15 minutes of quality, and I thought, fuck it. I'm going to go to the high downforce one. And then I just thought, I'm just going to try and learn the car as I was going through. And I had a really, really good battle with Alex Gutnet, but it's just so hard because you make so much time through the corners and then you get held up a little bit and then they just pull past you or pull away on the straight. It was really, really difficult. But really, really surprised with the third place and well chuffed. I was trying to get Lewis at the end, but the gap was just a bit too big and he was getting a bit of tow from Carlos as well. So really happy with the third.
But you got the Greek driver in a couple laps earlier, that one. That was Staphis. We'd mentioned that, didn't we, Alicia, in the commentary casting? Had the massive difference in the downforce and low force between the cars. Which is great. Well, by you, thank you, because it provided fantastic entertainment for everybody watching.
Yeah, no worries. Glad I
Alicia, what did you think about that with Chris's drive to survive on a Netflix series?
It was, I mean, Chris, we mention it every week, right? The racing here in the F2 is absolutely insane. We mention it every single week that you guys just provide absolutely amazing entertainment every single week. Like, this by far is my favorite race to watch, to commentate, and to be a part of. You guys just kill it every single week, and to see just so many different philosophies on how to set the car up. Obviously, when you were battling with Alex was on the lower downforce, you were on that higher downforce. You're able to really keep nice and close through the corners, but in the straights, it was a tussle back and forth constantly. And again, we saw a similar thing from Eystein and Lewis as well. Eystein opting for the lower downforce, Lewis opting for the higher downforce, and managing to make it work both ways. And it's one of those things that I think as a driver, I was mentioning that it almost seemed like it could have been quite frustrating from your point of view, because you can almost like feel that you're quicker than him, but you just can't really do anything because the straights are just so long.
I was really frustrated with Alex, and just a shout out to him, just to say, like, fair play, because we kept getting time zero with like a few little touches. I think it was the tyres, but it was all fair all the way through, which was wicked. But I was getting really, really frustrated with him because if you can get ahead after the first long straight, so once you go through that section, you can get the low downforce cars into that hairpin, and then once you're through there, you can pull away all the way to the next straight, and you can pull about 2 seconds. And if you can do that, then they get you back on the main straight, but then you can slay in the slipstream and then do it all over again. But if you're able to pull, I think 1.6 seconds. What was the guy's name? I'm just looking back. Leistein, yeah. If you're able to pull about 1.6 seconds going into the sort of second sector, then you're sort of safe going on to the main straight. But I was frustrated with Alex, but I was using Leistein to try and tow me up to Stathis. So because I noticed the gap was coming down, it was like 3.5 seconds, and then it came down to 2.3. And then I think he made a mistake, and then I was able to pull away and then just latch on the back of that group. So yeah, it was good. My hands are absolutely killing. I was really good. It's a tough race. One of the best I think I've had, even though it's a third position. It's amazing, because I knew that Lewis would have pace. Not too sure about everyone else, but I knew Lewis would be up there. And congrats to Carlos for his first win as well in the IFL. Fair play.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's amazing to see Carlos getting his first win. Championship fight getting closer and closer every single week. And yeah, we're just looking forward to the next round. Obviously, we will have, I believe we have a week break now, and then we'll be back at it again after that. But it's one of those things now that obviously you're going to look to try and improve as much as you can. Try and continue to push as hard as you can. And hey, absolutely amazing work from yourself, Chris. We'll let you go. Yeah. Celebrate with your team. No. Any final words? Anybody you want to thank quickly before we let you go?
Thanks to Lewis for providing me with the high downforce setup. It did work in the end. So thank you. And yeah, just a shout out to all our sponsors and admins at IFL, and then obviously you pair as well for doing an amazing show on the broadcasting side. So thank you very much. Wouldn't be the same without you.
Well, we appreciate it, but yeah, Chris, we'll let you go. Get yourself some more of that champagne, and we'll see you later, mate.
Another bottle of wine, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
Take care. Ta-da.
See you later. And that'll be it from us here, myself, Alyssa Long, and then also Biggles as well. Again, amazing stuff. And hey, I look forward to get all this action again when we next go racing. And Biggles, I hope to have you along as well, mate.
Yeah, you got to fire up that iFormula League jet, my friend, because, yeah, I mean, I had the chicken. What'd you have on the flight over to Spa? And mind you, where are we going to next? Just to let everybody know.
So next up, I believe we will be at... just trying to get the calendar.
Tell you a boarding pass.
Watkins Glen.
Watkins Glen?
Yeah,
oh,
so we'll be at the Glen next week.
Yeah, excellent.
Well, so yeah, it's going to be fun. Watkins Glen, very different from a lot of other circuits that we've been to. But
yeah, it's not a regular Formula 1 or a Formula 2 circuit and stuff like that, of course. And a big shout out there, too, from Chris, because, I mean, he got a setup there from Lewis. So Lewis is giving Chris a setup there to be beaten by somebody else with a setup. Hey, but that's what it seems to me. And thank you very much for allowing me be my debut casting here at iFormula League. You guys are a great family of drivers that kind of love each other and you know, having fun racing. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, so absolutely.
Thank you very much for allowing me in the booth, my friend. And obviously, I would love to be here in the next round in Watkins Glen if my personal assistant allows me to schedule it in.
Hopefully, we'll get all the details, try and settle it in as early as possible. Let's try and get ahead of ourselves on that one. But yeah, as I say, it was an absolutely amazing pleasure to be sharing the booth with you. But that'll be it from us here in the iFormula League. Again, follow all the details in below. You've got our website. Get on the Discord. Get yourself involved. Follow the iRacing League as well. If you've got iRacing, you've got yourself an active subscription, you've got yourself the cars, you've got yourself the tracks, come on over. We would absolutely love to have you here. Every single week, we provide some of the best racing on the platform. I'm just going to go out and say it. We're one of the best leagues on the platform when it comes to Formula Racing. That's this close.
Sorry, you are the best. There is no.
there is no
second
substitution.
Best, only best. Talk to Master Yoda. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, mate.
But yeah, as I say, we can't wait to be out here again at Watkins Glen. But tomorrow, obviously, we've got the F3 earlier on in the day, and then we've got the F1 as well from Spa. Again, F1, same time as it was this week, but on the other channel. Who I forget the name of right now. I believe it's the Esports Broadcasting Network, and then here will be the F3 earlier on. I want to say it's a couple hours earlier, usually about 3 hours earlier. But again, just make sure you hit the bells, get yourself notified, it'll tell you when the streams are coming up. But that'll be it from us here. And yeah, we can't wait to see you all next time out. Ciao,
I
ciao.
have one last one before you hit the end button. Smooth operator from Carlos to win Spa for the first time this season. Congratulations.
Indeed. And smooth operator it is.